Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where it's just regular folks talking about model railroading. I'm your host, Andy Dorsch, and joining me this evening is my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, you look good tonight.
Thanks.
How you doing?
Good. I made a couple of changes here. I'm trying to get used to this new setup, and I got a couple of. I actually bought some leveling casters.
Yeah.
For this S-scale layout that I'm using for this right now,
Ooh.
and so that'll be kind of fun once I get those. I think they're coming on Saturday or something like that. So hopefully then I'll be able to move this around into different locations in the layout room. So yeah, I won't always be facing this way. I might be down over here over by my bookcase and everything like that sometimes.
So you'll have the podcast background will be a wandering setup.
Might be a little different every time. You never know. I got to get used to, like, when I look at the video of me looking down, because my camera's over here.
Yeah, right.
Here's my finger.
Right.
So I got to kind of get used to that, because I was used to in the other room I had the camera right on top of it, right in my grill. I do have right here though. I have that camera sitting right here.
Ooh. Yeah, we'll have to play around and get you that second camera set up, because
I just need to find my tripod and everything, and that'll be perfectly fine. I'll do it.
Yeah, the traveling workbench of the week.
Yeah,
I think that could be a thing.
Well, I wanted this because I even have a new boom arm for the camera coming. I bought that today. I've got a new boom arm today that's supposed to give me, so I can get up and over and into the layout part of this itself. So if we want to do demonstrations on the layout itself, I'll be able to just flip that camera over and get up into the layout without having to make a whole bunch of whatever. And then this can just go to whatever part of the layout I need to make the demonstration on.
Boy, we are walking in high cotton here at Second Section Podcast.
I'm trying. I'm trying something new. Either it's gonna work great or it's gonna fail miserably. So I mean that's it. And just in case anybody wants to know, you probably can't see it because it's kind of washed out. That is Tavern League. The Tavern League of Rail Fans Sturdivant rail cam is sitting right over here. You can see that right there.
Oh, that's right.
Got it. Yeah, we kind of got that going on.
So that's where any trackside taverns or bars, they're going around and putting up that get any traffic. They're putting up rail cams.
Yeah, even there's one of them's a car wash. One of them's a car wash. The one that faces through the trees at Butler.
Okay.
At Butler.
Oh yeah, I know where you're talking about.
Yeah, so that so don't be surprised. I'll have that right there. So if you guys, while we're talking with Ken and everything like that, there'll probably be. This is the line that the Amtrak Hiawatha service is on, and the CPKC goes through here quite often. It's the old Milwaukee Road double main between Chicago and Milwaukee, so it's rather active.
You're getting pretty high tech there, Mike. You have aspirations of having that monitor in the background be part of the podcast setup here.
I'm trying. I'm trying. We're trying. We're gonna try some different things. We're gonna try some different things, and if they work, they work. If they don't, well, then we can just shit can them and not do them.
Put them right in the old 87 file.
Yeah, that's right. Put them in the square circular file.
Yeah.
So other than that, I'm doing good. I think. Yeah.
Good.
Discombobulated, but that's okay.
It's nothing more than normal.
Right.
So we got a great guest with us this evening. Let's welcome Ken McCorry to the Second Section Podcast. Ken, how are you doing tonight?
Above ground, moving around.
I love it. I
like
absolutely love it. Ken, we've been trying to get you on the show for a little while now. And we've I think it's almost a year. We've been in correspondence and trying to get this all sorted out, but you're here tonight. So first of all, welcome and thank you for curating a lot of the content for tonight and taking the time to do that. I do appreciate it. For those who don't know who Ken McCorry is, can you go ahead and give yourself a bit of an introduction to the second section audience here, and just tell them a little bit about yourself and what do you like to do in terms of railroading, model railroading, and stuff like that.
Okay. Like most, I started with some American Flyer, I think when I was 5 years old. Our family business was located right alongside the Pennsylvania Railroad main line from Philadelphia to Harrisburg. I could lay in my bed as a little kid and see the Berwyn station and hear trains, all that. Back then it was the main line. So at night you had all the passenger trains, you had freight trains. They used helpers out of Philadelphia up to Paley. My mother told me the story. I was about 3 years old. She was outside hanging wash, and I was standing next door. And then she looked down, and I was gone. And everybody was, next thing you know, my dad's there, and they called the police, and they're out looking for me. And after about 15 minutes, the gentleman that used to run the Berwyn taxi stand, back then used to have a taxi that would take people from the station. He called my mother and said, "Are you missing Kenneth?" And she said, he says, "Yeah, we're looking for him." He says, "Well, he's sitting over here at the Berwyn station." The station was on the inbound side. And our business and such was on the outbound side. So the outbound side was just a shelter. That's all it was. But it had a really nice big bench. Evidently, I was sitting on the bench watching trains going by. And my mother came over and got me, and I don't know if I got scolded or not, but she always said there was something about you and trains.
Yeah.
And so I grew up, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with trains and trucks. And, we had American Flyer for a number of years, went to HO about 1956 or 57. My dad bought me a little Revell. It was a Union Pacific 060 and a typical, circle track.
Yep.
And I ran it till the wheels fell off of it. I still have the locomotive sitting in a case behind me back there.
Oh, cool.
And, but HO for a number of years, got into high school, discovered cars and women, and
as most of us do.
Sort of put the trains away. Got through high school. Back then there was a draft. I felt at that time I felt I was done with school, and I knew I was going to work in the family business. And so Uncle Sam came calling. So my next 4 years of my life were spent in the United States Navy, and I got out of there. And when I spent a year in Vietnam.
Okay.
And on the Brown Water Navy, on PBRs. If you ever saw the movie Apocalypse Now,
yep,
that was a PBR. That's what I was on.
Really?
Yeah, that's a 31-foot long boat, the crew of 4. And while I was there, I told my mother, I sent her a letter, and I said, "Why don't you renew my model railroad subscription and have it sent to me here? So at least I would see something normal, so to speak."
Oh my gosh.
And so I sort of got back into it. I actually got back into N scale for a while. And then after I got tired of not having too much worthwhile in N scale, this is after the Navy, went back to school, went to college, went to junior college to learn the business side of the business so I could know what to look at quarterlies and year-end reports. And bought a townhouse with a 16 by 32 foot basement. Friend of mine and I designed it. We built it all out of plywood. First layout I built was all plywood. There wasn't a stick of regular dimensional lumber in it. Went through the stairs in 4 places.
Yeah.
I'm single, never been married, so no wife to bitch at it. Ran that for about 8 or 10 years, and then decided it was time for me to move to my next home. And my house here it's the remnant of a 221 acre farm. My dad and my grandfather bought it way back in the late 50s. It was been a dairy farm. And so I restored an 1813 farmhouse. And my dad said, "Well, you ought to restore that house." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Dad, but the people in 1813 were very short." And oh yeah, I think everybody must have been 5 foot tall, because I was 6'1", and all I was doing is walking around like this. And by that time, the original barn that had been here had been dismantled and sold to some people up in New England. So he said, "Well, why don't you just build a barn?" And I said, "Ah." So I designed a barn, and 32 by 80, and the second floor was built for the railroad. That was it. First floor, since it was still an active farm at that point in time, I built it as a barn, as a machinery shed, which nicely, for the township, there are no zoning regulations or anything else to build a barn.
Oh man.
And because there's the second floor has no windows. It has 2 doors, but it has no windows. And they said, "Well, there's no windows." I said, "It's a barn. You don't need windows in the second floor of a barn." Oh, that's so. The nice thing is, from the outside, it looks like it has windows, but they're fake. And so I had a 32 by 80 foot building with a 31 by 79 foot inside. Stairs come up basically somewhere near the middle. And when I was at the townhouse, I was modeling the Buffalo line, Pennsylvania line. Basically, I modeled it from like Harrisburg as far as Williamsport. And I said, "Well, I think I'll model the same thing. I'll just go further west or north, how you want to look at it." So what I ended up with was Harrisburg, Enola is the south end, all the way to Buffalo, which is about a 300-mile rail trip. On mine, it's from the Harrisburg staging, or excuse me, the Enola staging, which is the lowest level, to the middle of Mineral Springs Yard in Buffalo. It's 1,420 feet. It's actually a real quarter mile. So it takes about 45 minutes to go from one end to the other.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
how's that?
So let's just I need a minute here to absorb some of this. Okay. So 30 by 80 basically.
Inside 31 by 79 inside dimensions.
Yeah. Holy smokes. And so and now how much is that dedicated to the railroad? Is that
the whole
all
thing?
of it?
The whole thing. There's the bathroom, crew lounge, everything is on the first floor. My shop where I'm sitting right now, this is my workshop. So
and then that's on the first floor.
On the first floor, yeah. And the worst thing is in 1996 I decided to put an addition on the barn. So I put a 24 by 32 foot addition on it, which sort of turns the barn into an L. So now it's 3,120 square feet. So
I think this is the biggest layout we've ever talked about on the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, every so often, this is the largest, rare. And I says, "No, it's not. Don't say that."
It's the one on our show.
Yeah. I know of a couple that are in the 4,000 square foot range, but most of them are usually like single deck.
Yeah.
I have places on mine where there's 5 decks. Yeah.
So places. Okay, Mike has questions.
Go ahead, Mike.
Why?
Why? Why?
Why not?
Fair enough.
Touche.
All right, nice to have you on, Ken. We'll talk to you guys next week on the next podcast.
So I'm seeing this right here. 5 decks.
Yeah.
5
in one
decks.
spot, not everywhere.
Not everywhere.
Now there's 2 main decks, and then there's sub decks, I guess you could call them. The lowest deck actually is for staging in Enola. Above it is that's a 4-track loop. Each track can hold 2 40-car trains back to back.
Wow.
There's 8 stubs down there. 4 inbounds and 4 outbounds. And then that goes into a helix, which ends up on the second level. And on the second level is where the Harrisburg staging is, and that's 6 loops. That was the original East End originally. I actually added the lower level later, built a helix later, which I wouldn't recommend.
So are you using the loops and everything as your staging then? Is that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing correctly?
Yep.
You can really pack a lot of trains inside a loop.
You can.
I mean,
and mine are,
yeah. I mean, like you can almost double the length, double the amount of trains you can put into a staging area by doing it that way. That's actually a very smart and very efficient use of space doing it that way.
Yeah, and it works out. And I say the nice thing is that most of my trains are usually 3 units, 35 cars, and you can fit 2 of them in there with probably 5 or 6 feet between them.
And I bet you it looks like a bunch of ants walking around in that thing. That thing's got to be enormous. I mean, honestly, really, just this. I'm trying to wrap my head around just.
So I'm gonna bring up a track plan here in a minute before we get started, but just to kind of talk about it. So when did you? So you said you started early '90s building the layout.
Yeah, well, the barn was built in '91.
Okay.
And we started. What I did is I designed the barn and took it to some architects who told me, beam sizes and all the things I needed to do to make it correct so it wouldn't fall down.
Yeah.
And when I ordered the lumber, I was sort of the general contractor. I in the business I've been, I knew plumbers, I knew carpenters, I knew, people in electrical, you name it. They would have been customers of our family's business. So, and in 1991, there was sort of a recession. Things were quiet.
Right.
And so, when I ordered the lumber to build the barn, I sort of figured out how much plywood I was going to need to build the layout. So it was delivered on the back of a triaxle with a lift gate and put into the lower level of the barn. So I didn't have to worry about dragging lumber here. It was delivered for me along with the barn. So,
so it just kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Yeah. And back then it was, here's what I want. And they go, oh my God, what are you building? And I said, I'm building a barn. And back then people were willing to deal because they wanted the business because not much was going on.
Right.
So,
did you, I might have missed this, Ken. Did you use the original barn foundation and slab and everything that was there? Or did you have to start all from scratch, take it all out?
Start from scratch. Yeah. The only thing left, there was still some field stone from the first, it was a dairy barn.
Oh, okay.
And actually it was 40 by 100. If I had been smart, I would have built the new barn the same size, but I didn't end up putting in an addition. So
I think maybe now's the time to start looking and talking about the barn. Why don't we bring it up?
Yeah.
Let's stop keeping.
So it's basically a stone foundation. So stone foundation, the whole 9 yards, the old classic.
It's all concrete block. It has a stone veneer on it, steel siding. Basically upstairs, all the interior, it's all 2x6. So extra insulation. It's insulated to the max.
Yeah.
The picture there, you see the garage door on the lower level is where my wood shop is now. Originally, we actually used the garage down below when we first built it. And you see one of the fake windows there. And that's my milepost sitting there that came off the pen. So, and I sort of, when I did the siding, I tried to sort of mimic the Pennsylvania Railroad colors for buildings.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's I like that. So let's keep kind of going on here and talking about the barn.
Okay.
Okay. So here's another view of it. Now, do I see? Is this like what is this? A ramp here?
Huh? No, actually, it's a ramp. Originally, there was a fill there, and I decided to get rid of the fill, and a lot of the power, water, and also the septic coming out of there had to be, so they basically, there's a little bump out there that sort of covers a lot of where the utilities came into the barn, which originally was underground. Originally there was just a big lump of dirt there with flowers growing on it. And I decided to get rid of that. When I had the addition built back where the the garage door. That was added in '96. Then I eliminated where the dirt was and just put. I had more stone. That was the nice thing. I had plenty of stone around here, so that's all the same stone that the house was built of and everything else.
That's cool. I love the field stone
Mhm.
veneer. I think it's a really classy touch. So this is the addition here then.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is the main barn.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. We're starting to get it now. So if we have questions from the section crew tonight, so we got about 110 out there with us tonight. Jump on in.
Yeah.
I'll get them up there. Ken's gonna be a good sport tonight and answer as many as we can. So, oh, look at this.
Yes.
So you got this is your cornerstone.
Yeah. I decided. I went to
That's really cool.
Malvern, PA, Malvern Monument. They usually do headstones for graves, and I happened to have a keystone, and I said, here's kind of these piers out front. Here's the basic size. And they said, oh, this is great. It's nice to do something for something that's alive. So and so it has the 1991 date, which is when the barn was built. So.
Oh, that's cool. So
whoever the next owner is, they're going to have to deal with that.
So I had a question and it just escaped me. So then are you're modeling the Pennsylvania Railroad road, and so what era of time are you modeling, or has that shifted?
Oh, it's shifted.
Yeah. So why don't you maybe give us a little bit of the backstory on? So we started with the Pensy, right? Yep. And then what was the progression then?
Okay. We put the first piece of bench work up just 8th of February 1992. The main line was operational, just the main line. The yards weren't, for the NMRA convention in July of '93. And the dispatcher panel you're seeing there, that was probably 2004, 2005 when we finally decided to put the signaling in, and I moved both dispatchers downstairs.
Yeah.
So when I first built it, I was modeling the late Penn, which is 62 to 68. And what would happen usually is somebody would come out, back then, like when you needed to do 628 Alcos, you bought the horrible Lifelike 628 Alcos.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay. Then you bought Overland brass trucks.
Yep.
And a can motor to power it. And then you bought an Atlas C424 or 425 for the cab and the end platforms. Okay. And that gave you a nice coupler pocket and the front handrails and the rear handrails and all that. Yeah. And then that's how you got a 628. I built SD45s by cutting Athens down the middle and removing about 1/8 of an inch, and then building everything new on the top. So what would happen is somebody, these just came out, and I said, oh, okay, oh crap, and so basically my eras seemed to last anywhere from 5 to 7 years. When you build a railroad this big, I know of a lot of people, they'll build a railroad and then they'll run it for 10 years, 12 years, and says, okay, I'm going to tear this down and I'm bored. I want to build something else.
Yeah.
When you build something this big, you don't want to do that. And so what I did was, if my interest started to wane a little bit, and it usually didn't, but I would discover another era. So it went from the Pennsylvania Railroad, 62 to 68. I started to incorporate Penn Central, which people go, oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
But PC was neat because they didn't have the money to buy new stuff, so they had old stuff.
Right.
And somewhere, I can't remember what the date was, but it was in Model Railroad. They actually, on the cover, they had a cover shot of my railroad up actually in New York State, up near Olean. And on it were a Penn Central SD40 and a Penn Central SD45 with a red P on it. And they mentioned this is the first time that model railroad has ever had a Penn Central unit on the cover. So it was Penn Central for a number of years. And one other issue is I have a large crew here, and I'm not far from, I'm about 30 miles west of Philadelphia. Well, Philadelphia was the headquarters for Conrail. I had a lot of my operators that worked for Conrail. I had one friend I could ask him about automotive. Another guy, Blue Room. You name it, grain. I say, what train? What is it? I saw this train. Oh, here's the printout of it. So it morphed from Penn Central into Conrail, and many years ago, Keller did a video on it. That's when it was Conrail.
So you've done the full gambit Conrail.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would have loved to seen it in blue. I think that would have been something else.
It's sort of back. Well, that's not the end of the story. Okay, so now it's Conrail. Then Broadway, and now I got interested in the Buffalo line really because of Shamokin. My great-grandmother grew up in Shamokin, used to tell me about all the trains going through the middle of town. The Pensy and the Reading both went through Shamokin. And the Pensy, they used to haul ore trains from Erie down the Philadelphia and Erie line to Emporium, from there down to Norrie, and then Norrie, they'd take them up the Lehigh Valley up at Mount Carmel. And it was the last place really where the Pensy I-1, the decapods, was used. But there's a lot of people that took a lot of pictures. And then Broadway Limited did the horrible thing of coming out with a HO I-1 with coast to coast tenders and short tenders. And the Sharks were out there, and the FAs were out there, and F units were out there. So I basically bumped the railroad back to 1956. Because they also leased some Reading T1s, and Broadway Limited had also done some Reading T1s. So I had T1s, Mountains, a bunch of decapods running, H's.
I just want to show Mike's face here for a minute.
A4s, look, I've known Lee English for years at Bowser. So he did a run of H21s for me with no numbers. We put numbers on them.
Oh my goodness.
And it was that for a number of years. And then the Era virus hit again. And I actually went back to doing the late Pensy again and did that for a number of years. And then I sort of introduced a little Penn Central again. And a couple of years ago, a number of years ago, I got to visit Alan McClellan with the Virginia and Ohio.
Yes.
And the original one. I got to operate there twice. And I got to see the new one once. I never operated on it. But I always liked the articles were back in RMC, I guess 77, I guess it was, that Tony Custer wrote. It was amazing to me. And I always wanted to have my own railroad. And I sort of looked at what the Buffalo Mike's expression.
Sorry, Ken. We're just bringing up.
You know what? No, I'm just gonna say this right now. Screw you, Justin. You're not doing that. No.
That's Justin.
Okay.
We know him from
Engine House you. I'm not doing that. No.
And you can try to hear me talk. Just tell me to shut up.
No. This is
Ken. All I'm gonna say before you keep on going is I love you so much for this, because you have now just become my absolute go-to response whenever somebody says, well, and Justin is one of them. Well, what does that take? You're going to be changing what you're doing again? All I'm going to say from now is Ken McCorry.
Yep, exactly.
Ken McCorry.
And
you're welcome. Yeah, Ken McCorry. Yeah, Ken McCorry. Now go sit down and shut up. That's, I mean, honestly, this is fascinating to me. This is my biggest. I have one big, huge question I have to ask right now.
Go ahead.
Please tell me that from transition to transition to transition, you didn't sell off everything that you had from the previous era.
I when I did the original, well, you got to remember the original Penske era had a lot of kit bash stuff.
Oh yeah,
okay?
you Frankensteined all those engines and everything, right?
A lot of the
Yeah.
Frankenstein stuff went away.
Okay.
When I did leave the Penske 56 era, all the steam engines I sold off. They're gone.
Oh no.
Oh, no
they're
way.
gone.
Really?
Yeah, they're gone. When I got rid of the first Conrail era, I got rid of most of that. Again, there were some Frankensteins in there, as you call it, because a lot of stuff wasn't around.
Right.
And I mean, you'd buy an old Alco Models brass 628, but you had to put a drive underneath it. And
yeah. Did you? I suppose you had a bunch of Oriental stuff too, didn't you? You had.
With the gear and the gears split.
The gears were split and everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it looks pretty, but it's oh god. So, but I mean, I've kept some stuff. I mean, I still have a lot of Penske stuff around here, which shows up every so often if I just feel like it. But what I started a couple of years ago, I had an idea a number of years ago about my own railroad, and after seeing what happened to the real Buffalo line over the years, and we would talk for a while. I had a Fairmont Speeder, had 2 high rail trucks, and I got to do a lot of trips on a lot of the branch lines that came off of the Buffalo line. I ran out of Newbury Yard all the way down. We're connected to the Penn at Matandon. I ran up, from Sunbury on the Reading. We're connected to the Penn up through Shamokin. I've run on the XEL out of Norrie all the way up to the power plant.
Wow.
The Union County Industrial Railroad. And the nice thing is, since I had a high rail truck, they used to put me at the front or the back of the group. And, but I got to see what happened to all the lines that Conrail got rid of over the years. So I decided to do my railroad's called the Northern Central Railway, and NCR. And basically it came about when Conrail came about. And I said, well, before, you look at what Conrail didn't take, what was abandoned, what lines were, in my era, part of the Penske Shamokin line was ripped up. It was connected to the Reading line. Some of the Reading line, once you got into Sunbury, Pennsylvania, there were 2 ways to get all the way up to Williamsport. Well, they were basically ripped up. And the Erie-Lackawanna only went as far as the power plant. It didn't go up the Taylor Yard in Scranton anymore. So I said, all right, well, with what happened, the Chessie system was supposed to take over the Reading and never happened. And, the Southern was going to take over the Delmarva Peninsula, but that never happened. So I said, okay, the Northern Central, my railway, is owned by the steel company that I had. I had a steel mill on the railroad, Lehigh Steel, which really basically replaced Bethlehem Steel. This is, you're gonna be sitting there going, what the hell is he talking about? Anyway, so I already had a corporation, Lehigh Steel. Lehigh Steel had all the short lines that the real Bethlehem Steel had. PB&NE, Cambrian, Indiana, Steelton and High Spire. They had a lot of, So I said, okay, we have railroad experience. So we bought the Buffalo line from basically Rockville all the way up to Buffalo. But Conrail has trackage rights over parts of it. And Conrail does, later on, Conrail now goes up as far as Sunbury and then takes the Wilkes-Barre branch up, which what used to be the D&H. And, they get up here to Binghamton and they can make a left-hand turn and either take the old EL or the New York Central. They go all the way up to get to Buffalo's. They were afraid of Keating Summit grade, which I have on the railroad. So I said, all right, well, I'm just going to take some of the stuff that happened later and make it happen earlier. So basically the Northern Central operates the Buffalo line from Rockville all the way to Buffalo. The subsidiaries, we have the Lehigh and Mahanoy, which operates the stub of the Penske Shamokin line, all the way up to, we're connected to the LV in Centralia. And the LV actually abandoned from Mount Carmel to Centralia in the I guess the mid 60s, but I decided it was still there. So we have a way to get anthracite down. The Reading side, what I did was Andy Mower and the Reading and Northern, I've been very impressed by that. So I decided when the Reading company went bankrupt in June of 71, my company bought from Beltline all the way to Williamsport. So, and I call it the Reading and Northern, which is nicely because there's decals already made and I can sort of steal what he's already done with the real world. So the Reading side is the Reading and Northern. The anthracite side is the Lehigh and Mahanoy. The line that runs from Lemoyne outside of Enola all the way down to Hagerstown, the Pennsy and the Reading had two lines side by side. Conrail today and NS today uses mainly the Reading. The Penn only goes as far as Carlisle, but it has a lot of local industry on it. So I said, okay, I'm taking over the Penn line to Hagerstown, and Conrail can have the Reading side. And that's the Cumberland Valley.
That's another.
Wait a minute, is that 3 or 4?
I count 4.
Yeah,
it's 4.
Yeah, but they're all mostly common paint scheme, common lettering. Just they're owned by one company, but it's.
I was going to say, are they owned by a conglomerate?
Yeah, me.
It's also a good thing that you got. It's also a good thing that you got 5 decks, so each railroad can have their own deck.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, I was just joking. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's the sign-up board. That's in the stair. That's when you sign up for trains. The scheduled trains are on the right, and then on the left there is where the extras go. So when a yard makes up a train, like when Northumberland makes up a train that goes, we have transfers down to Conrail at Enola, and also some down to Harrisburg. So they're made up as needed. So one of the yard crew comes over, puts it on the board, and the next available crew just picks that up and runs it. So,
see, that's a good point right there, Ken McCorry Railroad. I think with the next Monopoly game that comes out, you're going to be the 4 railroads, and that's going to be it.
Short line being
holy. Wow, this is. Wow,
we haven't even gotten all the way up the stairs yet.
No, we haven't.
I know.
No, I know. I'm just in awe of the backstory. You know how I like doing.
Yes.
Like I love backstory stuff, and the logic behind the backstory of the 4 railroads is, to me, is so cool. Andy and I both have worked on backstories for our respective freelance railroads, and each of them has a little element of the prototype in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be really hard to have any backstory of any freelance railroad not have some element of prototype in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there even for the ones that are completely made up, there's still an element of prototypical connections to something somewhere.
Yeah, I wanted something that would seem realistic and viable. I mean, I used the Conrail breakup and the fact that, or not breakup, when it came about, it was like other railroads were looking at other pieces, and most of them never happened. I said, okay, well, that was a perfect time for a conglomerate, me or the Lehigh Industries, to basically and said, no, we'll take over this piece, we'll operate this piece, but Conrail can run here. The Conrail still has a way to get to Buffalo from Harrisburg. They still have a way to get to Hagerstown. So it's not like we wiped them out. And it's like, it worked out. And the other thing was too, I had enough with the Conrail guys I had working here, and the high rail trips. It was sort of neat. It was like, okay, I could use what some of the Lycoming Valley and the North Shore I got to know the guys. It was nice to see them putting sidings back in service, and they tended to seemingly to care more about customers, smaller ones, than the big conglomerates did. So I don't know.
That's funny. Sorry, Ken. I'm just laughing at what
That's all right.
what TR705 just said. You got Hill, you got Vanderbilt, you got McCorry.
You got McCorry. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So some of the people are getting they want to know what's going on here with the lights here.
Okay. Well, when you walk up the stairs, the railroad's on the second floor. So you walk up the stairs, and the first thing you see as you're upstairs, you saw the sign-up board. Okay.
Yep.
Then you turn the corner, you do a 180, and it's the second set of stairs that go up there. Well, when you go up there, if you look up, this is what you see. And it's actually one of the later pieces of the railroad that I built. An interesting story, and I was going to change some of the railroad to more of an industrial railroad, more actually based in Buffalo. And I've known Chuck Hitchcock, who modeled the Santa Fe for years, and he decided he was going to retire and go to a retirement living, and he decided to sell Elevator A, the Santa Fe elevator that's in Kansas City. And I got in touch with him, and I said, "You still have that?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "What do you want for it?" He told me. I said, "Oh, okay." He says, "I'll buy it from you." So, at one time I ended up making a trip to Kansas City. Being an old truck driver, I left here on a Sunday evening from southeastern Pennsylvania about midnight, pulled into a guy's driveway in Kansas City at 6 p.m. on Monday, loaded the elevator, turned around and got back far as Boonville, Missouri, slept, and then actually got home on Tuesday. But now I had this elevator, and then I decided to not do the change I wanted to do. And I'm going, I got this thing, brought it all the way back here. What am I going to do with it? And one of my operators named Paul Rice worked for Amtrak. And he said, "How big's that area over top of the stairs?" And I went like, I never thought of that. So I built some sections of bench work. They're over top of the stairs. And they're connected by a bridge to a Mineral Springs yard in Buffalo. And it's actually the Pensy the Buffalo.
So this is layout above your head as you walk up the stairs.
Yeah, it's a layout. So I painted it nice and white. I had to stick some lights there because it sort of broke the light from the overhead lights. And I had to make the wiring look all neat. But you'll see a picture later. On top of that is where Elevator A sits now. And I just call it Hitchcock Green. So if you walk up the stairs, that's the first thing you see. You can sort of see the
Look at this woodwork.
Yeah, it's just siding. It's nothing.
I know it's like beadboard, but still, it's very.
Yeah, it's beadboard, and we use white birch for all the other wood. So
Andy's got some very good experience in cabinet making and stuff like that. So any kind of good woodwork, he can really appreciate that, right, Andy?
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what you're looking at here is the main Central Peninsula, and you'll see there's actually 3 levels right there. The bottom level is Enola Yard. The next level up is Harrisburg. The Enola is 4 loops and 8 stubs. The next one up is Harrisburg that has 6 loops. And then the next one up is actually the climb from Renovo up over Keating Summit, and also where the big flood loader is there. That's actually part of the West Branch Valley ex-New York Central line that went to Clearfield. It came out on my world, came out of Renovo. I didn't have Emporium and some other places to make. I shortened some of the areas in the middle up. So, but that's what you see when you first come up there.
So so basically, as soon as you enter the room, you're staring down 3 decks right away.
Yep. Yes, you are.
And
I need Tylenol.
And also I decided as I got older, I said, well, I better put some lighting in there. So I used the LED strip lighting. Well, I put the lighting in and I said, yeah. I think I need to do some scenery. So I built scenery. As you can see here, the staging has scenery in it and lights and, you know.
So
Look at
what, where are like that Harrisburg steel? Where exactly is that in conjunction to your body when you stand? Is it like at the knees? Is it like mid thigh? Where?
It's probably 18 inches off the floor. So
right by my cankle then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first built the railroad, that did not exist. The next level up, that was the east end of the railroad. And when I put the addition on, I added the Harrisburg operations and everything else, and I realized I needed more east end staging. So I decided to add Rockville and a 6-turn helix to get from that upper level to the lower level. And I built the helix underneath an existing railroad. I would never tell anybody to do that. So that's how you get to Enola. So Enola and Harrisburg, those two levels there, meet at Rockville. And it's just a double track junction, basically.
Reason I was asking that is because we have a friend of ours, Robert Rivard, who's got his Rock Island is almost at that same height.
Okay.
And every time I go by his house, over to his house over in the Twin Cities, and if I'm over by the Rock Island, I'm always afraid I'm going to take a step and step on it because it's right at, like when you're trying to walk, it's right there.
No, you never step on this one. So
I'm just saying that it's real low to the ground, and I'd just be so scared that I'm going to kick it or something like that.
Yeah. So this is the end of that peninsula, and say the lower level you're looking at there is Enola, and then the next one up is Harrisburg, and then you're looking at the start of my climb over Keating Summit. The tracks Renova is on the other side of that hill, and so it comes up there. And then there's a tunnel there, which is actually the line that went up to Brookville. The Shawmut line. So and Falls Creek, and I have a lot of branch lines, and some of the branch lines are a couple 100 feet long. So.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Just a couple hundred.
Just a couple hundred,
Yeah.
Holy crap. You don't model the Pittsburgh and Shawmut, do you?
Yeah. Well, I don't actually model, but I have Pittsburgh and Shawmut hoppers that come out of Brookville that show up in trains, on my railroad. Yeah. So I have track.
I always liked that railroad.
Yeah.
I always liked that railroad. That was always a cool little railroad with the switch engines and all the coal trains and stuff like that. I always thought that was really neat.
Somebody was supposed to do the SWs because they were all done in red, white, and blue, and they had famous American names on them, but nobody's ever done them. And I said, well, if they did them, I could actually get one of the Rapido LV cabooses, and I could paint that for the Shawmut, and I've already got the cars. So I could actually have the Shawmut bring a train down and give it to us at Renovo, and it just goes on and on. So, but
the scenery looks really nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees.
So when we were doing our pre-production meeting, you said how many trees are we talking about on this guy? Because I mean, we're here for the statistics, right?
Yeah.
Not the tree.
Yeah. Well, most of the original trees are all the typical puffball trees. Okay. You pillow stuffing, dyed, painted. I used a party toothpick, drill a hole in the scenery. I dyed the toothpicks, stuck them in the hole, put the tree on top, bam, it's a tree. And I kept track of how many trees I was putting there by the number of toothpicks boxes I was buying. There's supposedly about 22,000 puffball trees on the layout.
Oh my gosh.
What?
And yeah. So
holy cow. I thought Mike Rose's 10,000 freaking super trees was nuts.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, I actually gave Mike Rose some super
Wow.
trees I wasn't using. So he said he was going to have a McCorry forest. But and what I did later on is I added other trees. The other thing I've been doing to break up all the puffballs, Woodland Scenics, has those boxes of, like 24 little trees and such. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I discovered was you buy the little ones, the little baby ones, and then you just take the tree and stick it right in the middle of the puffballs. And because it looks different, it breaks up the puffball world, so to speak. And it looks a lot better. So there's a lot of, I don't know how many hundred Woodland Scenic trees are in there, but I stick them in there. And I bought Woodland Scenic coarse turf to do this by the gallon. They'll sell it to you by the gallon. I think I bought 15 gallons of it. So,
you know what's really interesting about that picture right there,
bucket.
Andy?
Yeah.
You know what's really interesting about this is you have that big flood loader there,
mhm.
and it's all but just in the way of looking at everything else.
Yeah.
It's not the most interesting thing in that picture.
No, it's not. No, it's a piece of 6-inch drainage pipe that I made a loader out of.
Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
No,
That's
it's
PVC pipe.
Yeah, the blue building at the back that has the servo to operate the gate, and then the blue building at the top of it that has the servo that raises and lowers the chute. So
Wait a minute.
You can live load cars with this thing.
That functionally live load cars.
Yeah. And in order to load a 30-car train, I determined how much I used Bowser 100 tonners as a standard. So I took Woodland Scenic's coarse cinders or whatever they call, and it required how many. I needed to build a flood loader big enough to load a 30-car train. How's that? And that was an extra piece of drainage pipe I had that I hadn't used for the gutters coming off the barn. So I just washed it out and just glued everything to it. So it was,
That's amazing. I mean, I'm looking at this picture, like, and like Mike is, so now that I know the backstory behind the flood loader, that's pretty incredible. But then I see
incredible.
The rock wall retaining fence back here. And then you got your signal bridge here, which, I mean, the Pennsylvania had the best signals in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
With how many was it? 6 that they had, or 7-way signals?
Well, it depends. It depends on how many. Those are actually just a pair of automatics. So, but they'll give you an indication. The next interlocking west of this is Wrights, and that's a full plant. So, if you're gonna, if you're gonna cross over, it'll give you an approach here instead of a clear. So. And I also the valances I put up, that was a later addition. I actually moved a bunch of lights and decided I needed to have the light on the railroad and not in the aisles. So that's all. It's just white cotton poplin, I guess it's called, and black on the outside, and it's hung from the ceiling with the little hooks you get to hang plants from a drop ceiling. And it's removable. You bump into it, it just moves. So
okay, that's a really good idea for valance as a person, with, I'm follically challenged, right?
So am I.
So I have many a war wound on the top of my head from my valance here, where I'm reaching across and I leave some of my scalp up there.
Yeah. If you know somebody that can sew, it helps. I can't. I'm not a sewer, but the idea is I said I wanted black on the outside and a bright white on the inside. So the nice thing is it's, it reflects the light. And the story he told me was when you go into a museum, you'll always sort of notice that the aisleways are dark.
Yeah.
And the idea is when you walk in, your pupils open up to accommodate the dark aisles.
Right.
But that means when you look at the exhibits, they look brighter because the light's on them. So rather than having to pour a whole bunch of light on the exhibits, you can actually have less lights. Oh, don't quit the hobby.
That's Dave Winther.
I'm with you, Dave.
No,
I'm with you.
Just use me like other people have done. I've had open houses and had the husband and the wife will be here and the husband will be walking around and they'll ask them questions and the wife is just following them around. And oh, thank you very much for being open. Okay, I'm usually open in November, and they got down to the landing and they turned and she says, and I guess you want to build a barn now. And I just said, oh, I just ruined that guy's day. I think
let's do it. Let's do it.
It's just like I said, this is what, and when she said, you're not married, are you? I says, no, I'm not. I says, here's the wife and kids. So.
And there you go. And nice. There's the college education for the kids.
Yes, it is. There's the college education. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Ken, I don't know if you covered this yet, but what did you use did you go with the standard 3-foot with the aisle widths and everything because of the size and the space that you have?
No,
do you have a little bit larger?
Minimum aisles are 3 feet. When a yard's in the way, I go to 4 feet. Over by Northumberland, it's actually 7 feet.
Wow.
I wanted to make it a nice, comfortable place to follow your train, not the, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me. I got to get to the next signal to see, what the signal is. And, you're in my way. So whenever I put mainly yards, I always try and make sure there's a nice wide aisle.
So like your operator wise, then you're looking at what, 15, 20, 25, 70? What are you looking at?
No, we've had as many as 34 at one time.
Wow.
But that gets to be a little bit like a job and people manager. And it sort of reminds me of my previous, when I worked. And so I've actually tried to cut down a little bit. I've cut it down. We haven't operated in a while, but I intend to start. I'm going to operate 4 times this year, and I used to try and operate every month. That got to be too much for me. Just resetting things. I reset it by myself once. It took 61 hours to reset this railroad. And
wait, say that again. 61 hours.
61 hours. Do you want to move the loaded train back to where it started? Do you want to take the loads out and put them in the empty train and make it loaded? Do you want to load? I have a classification system set up for loads for cars, for the steel plant, for the hopper trains, for the ore trains, and there's multiple trains. And then you got to move, you walk around and you go to the industries, you got to mark the car cards off so they'll, set out to pick up or hold. It's a lot, redo this, redo that, fix this, fix that, minor stuff. But
do you employ like a regular section, like I hate this, like a regular section crew? Do you have a maintenance team that goes along and says, hey, we're going to come in here on this day and you're it, eh?
Me.
So
I have help restaging stuff. I had a couple guys that would stop over, but I've lost some people. But this railroad's been operating really, since basically 94, and a number of people are no longer with us. People have moved. Other railroads have been built. So it's not really the square footage of the layout. It's what you put in the square footage is the biggest thing. I would, watch about requiring too many people. And
so how much maintenance do you do then on this layout at any given point? Or is it pretty maintenance intensive?
No, not really. No, the whole railroad's built out of plywood, 3/4 inch ply. The upper level is actually locked into the 2x6s for the outside exterior walls. Actually acts as a building stiffener. Yeah. And, so most of it, when I built it, was all Code 100 Atlas Flex Track.
There you go.
Mostly Pico switches.
Durable.
And at that point in time, Picos only came in, they only had one importer. Between when I started this in 92 and we tried to get it ready for 93, I actually wiped out the entire U.S. supply of Pico turnouts. And so I had to put some Atlas turnouts in. when I built the addition, that piece you can see here, you can see in the other room, that's the addition. That wall there originally used to go across. That's mostly code 83. And, but I tell people for 17 thousandths of an inch, I'm not going to worry about code 83 and code 100. And I say I probably run enough trains over it. It's probably down to code 90 now anyway. So,
just wearing it down.
yeah. Well, I mean, you run track cleaning trains with masonite underneath, and
Yep.
I also run one that I put either 800 or 1,000 grit sandpaper on the blocks and run them around. They tend to polish the rail up a little bit.
Yep.
So, yeah. There is what's over the top of the stairs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really neat.
yeah, that's elevator A from Chuck Hitchcock's. I added a whole bunch of silos, but the main building is from his. The ship loading is something that I just kit bashed out of odds and ends of stuff. There's a couple Walthers building is in there. There's a building on that back wall, that big tall building back there.
King Midas flower.
Yeah, it's King Midas, which is a Walthers thing. But the nice thing is the bottom of it, I have a wall phone up there. So when the phone rings, you just reach over and you grab one of the blowers, pull the thing off, and the phone's inside the building. So somebody said, "Hey, your building's ringing." I said, "Oh, I'll get that." So, and that's also the Buffalo River. That's where theoretically a ship would be there, to load grain. So
Yeah,
I found
for the barge or the ship loading right here.
Yeah. I used to haul grain when I had my own trucking business. I hauled a bunch of grain from out here down to Philadelphia to Tidewater Grain, and they loaded a lot of ships there. Were all going to Russia with mostly corn and soybeans. And that's basically what it looked like. So I just did that from memory from what was down in Philly at Tidewater. So
we do have a question here real quick.
Yeah.
How many turnouts?
I don't know. I don't. It's fun. When I was young, it was is either how many engines you had or how many switches you had.
Right.
I can tell you the railroad has 71 staging tracks. Okay. It's 1,400, and 20 feet long. Well, I know what else. It's got 5 levels and a couple spots. One of these days, I should probably start at one end and just determine the number of switches / turnouts I have, just for fun. But
so the staging alone is a minimum of 120 ish
turnouts.
Yeah.
No. I mean, well,
71.
Well, I have there's 71 staging tracks around the railroad. So you can store 71 trains in staging is what it really comes down to. 71 35-car trains can hide off the railroad and have nothing on the main line. So
Andy, we got a road trip and go see this thing.
I think so. This one's on the bucket list all of a sudden.
Yep.
So we have a really good question here from Roger Kajawa. How do we switch the Buffalo elevator?
You don't. Well, all the turnouts are over on the right-hand side or in the back. So you just line it and you just shove a cut of cars. It comes in from Mineral Springs Yard on a single track. So I can't remember the number. I think there's 7 or 8 cars per track that fit on the tracks underneath the dump chutes for the elevator. So you just make the cut, shove the cut in and pull back out and shove another cut back in. And then when it's time to pull them, you just go in and couple up. And if you have to grab them, you can always reach over here at the end there by the aisle and push them to you if you can't get to them. But
yeah, push them that way.
Yeah. I mean, when I built it, I actually put I had a step ladder that I put in up on the stairs, and that's how I did a lot of the work on it. So once it was in there,
there's no OSHA violation at all with that.
No.
None.
OSHA, it's just, that's not even a real thing. It's just a figment of your
it's not.
imagination.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Babcock Street Yard is what it was called in the real world. So. Yeah, it is like a Playboy centerfold.
The track plan in a magazine folds out like a Playboy centerfold. Oh my goodness. This
All
is
right,
this
keep
is this
I gotta keep now. Now this. I don't know that there's anything that's gonna surprise me on this anymore.
Okay.
well, Ken and I
There-
went through this. There might be a thing or two.
Yeah, there's the peninsula. The bottom level again, that's a NOLA. You can see those little white specks there. Those are drywall screws through a piece of PVC pipe acting as a bumper. So there's actually 8 tracks there. 4 of them are the outbound tracks, the ones closest to you, and then the other first 4 there are the inbound tracks. So I actually decided to do that later when I decided I needed more staging. So in each of the circular tracks, each of those can hold two trains. So, and then the next one up is Harrisburg, and then above that, the top level, that's Renovo. That's basically where the helpers get put on to go up over Keating Summit. And
That's cool.
And Keating Summit is 75 inches off the floor.
So you go from down here, which is around Mike's cankles, to
75 inches.
Yeah, so above my
6'3".
head. Above my head.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's crazy.
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great.
Yeah, this is the bottom level. I put lights in there so I could see it, and then I said, well, I need to do some scenery. So I built a lot of scenery on like 1-inch foam. I cut the foam to fit, and I build everything on it and just slide it in place and finish off the edges. And
that's a really good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So, and then I built that. You can see part of that blue building in the middle there. That was sort of to hide the support posts that hold the upper level, the next level to the floor. So I just built extensions on the buildings that go around it. My favorite building material is gator foam.
Oh, sure.
When I found out about it, I actually bought a case of it many years ago. 15 4x8 foot sheets, and it was $15 a sheet. And I actually went through all 15 sheets.
Now this stuff's fairly expensive.
Oh, it's like $70 a sheet now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that's got the real thin plywood on each side, right, with the foam in between, right?
Yeah, I built bridges out of the stuff, and water doesn't affect it. It's like wood, but it's light. And the
It's really
nice thing
strong.
It is. It's very strong.
Yeah.
I used the craft color, and it's 3/16 of an inch thick. The town of Sunbury that I built, the whole town is built on pieces of gator foam, one big giant piece.
Wow.
And
So go ahead, Ken. I'm sorry.
No, you can lay it down. You figure where the streets are going to be. You sort of draw on it, and you take it downstairs, and you put the building. You can build everything. You can do all the detail work, drill holes, put the poles in, the people in, and then take it up, slide it in place. The only thing you got to do is worry about trimming off the edges.
Right.
So
there's a question here from the audience. What's the spacing between the decks? I imagine it varies.
It varies. Right there, it's probably. Ooh, this is what you get. I'd say it's probably 18 inches, 20 inches.
Nice.
So, yeah. The next deck up, which is Harrisburg, that one's probably only 8 inches.
Yeah.
So.
And then have you ever lost a train in this layout?
No.
Okay.
I never have. The previous layout at my townhouse was a multi-deck. And when I decided it was time to move, I had we all tore it down, and I had a Reading twin hopper that I could never find. And what it turns out, it derailed, but when it derailed, it fell off and it landed into a loom of wires. And that's why, and we guys said, hey, here's a car here. I said, that's that Reading hopper. I haven't seen that for years.
It never hit the ground.
Yeah. But didn't hit the ground. So
you still have it?
Oh yeah, it's still on the railroad. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
Oh wow, here's a cool shot.
okay, yeah, that's an aisle. That's a 3-foot aisle. Basically on the on the right, on the left hand side, you got the two stagings where the yellow track cleaner is. That's the Renovo yard. The next track up from it is actually the line that goes up to Brookville. It actually ends up on that far wall. You can see at that top level. That's where it ends up. On the right, that's Newbury Yard in Williamsport. That's the west end of my Reading and Northern. And then above it is actually that's up by Lake. It's just past Machias on the Buffalo line.
Oh gosh,
basically heading.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
hold on.
Right.
Bad production value from
typical production value.
Typical.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, that the upper deck difference is that's about the base level in the upper deck is I think it's 54 or 55 inches. It's basically there's about a 15-inch opening between the bottom of its benchwork and the lower deck. So, and then Keating Summit is higher than that. I mean, Keating Summit goes up, up to 75 and then drops back down again. So.
Is this the grade here on the left that goes up to that?
No, that's actually a branch line. Okay. It goes around the mountain, okay, and it ends up on that far wall on the top. That's Falls Creek.
So this branch line ends up over here.
Yep. And then Falls Creek goes to Brookville, and Brookville, swing a little bit to the right. See that hill there on the top?
Yeah.
Brookville has a 3-track staging that's back there behind that hill. And but in order to see it, I should have taken a picture of it. Up in the ceiling, I put mirrors. And you can look up in the ceiling and you can see the fouling points of the turnouts at the far end. And at this end, where the ends, you just look up in the ceiling, you can see it. So, and you can if you have to get to it, you can get to it, but but that's Brookville. So that's where all the coal comes out of Brookville on the Pensy side off the Pittsburgh and Shawmut. So
I absolutely love this.
Well, Luke Lemons has got something real similar to that at his Stevens Point in the B yard where he comes around the corner and he's got a mirror angled. Mm-hmm, you know what I mean? And that's just so you can see where the train is to park. And it's really funny because if you got on a ladder and looked down, everything's written backwards. So that way when you see it, so when everything's written backwards, so when you look at the mirror,
right,
it's reflecting back the right way. So and I'm sitting there going, that that's that. Do you have labeling on yours too? Like, is it backwards so that people can read it, or is it just something?
I didn't put any backwards lettering up there, so
no.
In my world, any staging tracks, everything is always counted from the aisle in. So,
okay.
And what I did is I just put phone. The turnouts are powered, but the tracks are what I use is a phone jack, and just wires a shorting plug. So there's a little panel there that says Brookville 1, 2, and 3. So, and there's also a card box. So you say, okay, I'm going to pull a loaded coal train out of Brookville 1. What you can do is you say, okay, I'll line the turnouts to 1, and I'll put this plug here. There's a shorting plug. I'll stick that in 1, and then I can dial up the train and turn the headlight on, and out it comes. So
then let me see if I got my bearings here.
Okay.
So if I look in the distance over the hill, this is the grain elevator that we were just talking about earlier.
Yep. That's the grain elevator.
That's the grain
elevator 1.
Yeah.
The
elevator A.
River.
Actually, elevator A, actually. Yeah.
Oh.
And then over here, the King Midas flour mill. This is
Yeah.
where the phone is.
Yeah, the phone, the next building over. See the building over, the next one, little one. Now, just go to your right a little bit with the pointer. Right
This
there.
one.
See that little thing there? That's the handle to open the building to get to the phone. So
Okay.
I had I had the phone there. That's where the phone. It was easy to get to. And then I built this addition, and I said, like, oh crap, I'm not going to move the phone. I said, I know what I'll do. I'll just build a building around it.
So, question from the audience: do your locomotives have sound?
Yes, not all, but most. You always usually the lead unit. Most of the non-sound units usually are, in the middle, sometimes at the rear, but usually both ends have sound. Yeah, I have. There's a lot of Tsunamis on there. There's some ESUs on there. There's some Loc sounds on there. I really sort of like the Tsunamis best. I'm not really one to do a whole bunch of messing around with speed curves and such like that.
What
Yeah.
are you using for a DCC system then?
NCE.
There you go.
So
There you go.
it's been numerous DCC systems over the years. When I first built it, I had one of the first Lentz DCC systems in 1993.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in fact, Burnt Lentz actually visited me at an open house. Dick Lord, he was here, and the issue we found with the original, the DCC systems back in '93 are different than they are today. The same basic manufacturers, but the different. Lentz system couldn't really handle at that point any more than about 8 or 10 handsets. It started to slow down. They also only had, back then, they had 14 speed steps and 99 addresses. That was it. And
I ain't gonna cut it.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it said, oh, well, now we're going to have 9,983 addresses. I said, oh, that's nice. Now I don't have to have listings around. So where this engine, you go to run an engine back then, you had to have the list to tell you, the Baldwin Shark 2012 is actually, 36. Yeah. And they said, why didn't you just make the last numbers? I said, well, when I painted these and decal them, I had no idea about DCC. So
Right.
it wasn't like
Yeah.
I always, that it sounded nice, but it doesn't work.
So when you're designing something this large, obviously you have to look at me with a serious question here.
I'm
So
looking
when you're
forward to it.
doing something, what's that?
I'm looking forward to it.
So when you're designing this,
Mhm.
as the time has gone on, you're into the DCC thing. So when you go and you figure out a section, like with just the sheer mass of this and size and volume of track that you have, what is your like how long do you go with booster territories with something like this? Because large railroads are electrical nightmares with power drops and all sorts of stuff like that if you don't have boosters. And I'm just saying this, and section crew, I'm being dead serious when I'm saying this, because if any of you actually have aspirations to try to build a large railroad, maybe not something this big, but this is something really important to have to figure out and to take into consideration is your booster segments, because the last thing you want to do is have signal losses. I've been at a couple of layouts where you'd have a signal loss, or like the electrical would drop to a point where you would actually lose your address of your train.
Mhm.
You'd lose your train, and there's nothing, and there's really nothing. It's just free rolling. Then you're
You have to go. You have to grab it.
Yeah, you got to grab it. There's nothing you can do about it. So I know it's going to probably be a large number, just based on it. But how many electrical segments do you have your layout divided into? And each segment is going to have a booster,
right?
So how many do you have this set up in?
Okay, let me say one thing first. When I first started building this railroad, DCC did not exist. Okay, but what I had at the townhouse, I had John Mann had a system called Man-Made. It was, remember the CTC 16
Yep.
articles? Okay, so
Yep.
they basically guys kept figuring. He had one that I think had 64 addresses, and yeah. So there was issues with that. So when I built this railroad, the main track buses are 10 gauge stranded, and then
That's a lot.
okay. Well, you gotta
Wow.
remember, I wanted sewer pipe, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea was you didn't want to have a voltage drop. And my
Right.
booster, now the districts, now I used, but before we ever operated it, John Mann was the one that said there's a system coming out you need to look at versus what mine. He says he knew Bert Lentz. John Mann was a German, and they all know each other. And so he said, it's DCC. You really should try this. So the nice thing was, when I wired this thing, I wired it with 10 gauge stranded buses. So what I did, and it never ran with John systems, it ran with the Lens system. So what I did was I originally had it strung out. We just put alligator clips to test trackage and stuff like that. And it's okay. Now it's time to sort of cut this bus up into lengths. I have some buses that are 100-foot long.
Wow.
But the booster is in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh,
boost-
yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
the longest run is 50 feet.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Between boosters.
Well, the railroad has some System 1 boosters on it. They had dual 5-amp boosters. They were 10-amp boosters. The railroad has 13 booster districts on it.
Wow.
Whew.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Actually, that's a lot lower number than I expected to hear.
Yeah.
Honestly, I expected closer to like around 20 or something like that with the size of this.
Yeah. I mean, the north end, that other picture when you were looking down the aisle, the middle level used to be the north end of the railroad. Yeah, that there, if you look way down, that end of that aisle,
Yeah.
you'll see Falls Creek is on the top. Well, underneath it, that was Delavan. That was the north end of the railroad. That black area where the cards are hanging, in there is a 12-track, originally a 12-track stub staging yard. That was the north end. That was before I built the addition. So that was the north end.
Wow.
So from there, all the way, if you turn around, all the way past here to the other end of the barn is the booster district. It's 100 feet. And in the middle is a 5-amp booster.
And then you go so your powers go.
Yeah.
Man, that's.
And then all you need between the boosters is the the light gauge wires. So the boosters are all around the railroad. They're in like 4 or 5 different locations.
Are your feeders also stranded?
Yeah. Well, they're smaller. They're smaller, but what I had was in some areas I put a sub feeder in of. Once I decided I was going to put signals in, then you needed to have, detection.
Yep.
So when you put detection in, they said, okay, well, I got to have one place where this wire is going to go through the detector to this section of track. Well, some of these sections of track are 40 and 50 feet long. So what I did is I put a sub bus in of a piece of 12 gauge stranded, ran all the detected side down to the 12s. And then I put a piece between the 12s and the 10s that went through the detector. And that's how I did detection on big, long sections of track, but not have any voltage drop because I had multiple feeders that only fed, but only one fed through the detector. You had to add the detector in there.
Right.
And all the yards, like Renovo, it has its own booster. Northumberland has its own booster. Williamsport has its own booster. Buffalo has 2 of them. And then the main line is broken up. A lot of the stagings have their own booster. So, and I have, when Tony's Train Exchange did those little voltage amperage
thing,
I don't think I took a picture of one, but I had them around the railroad, and it marks, like it says, it'll say Wilkes-Barre branch, case to Wilkes-Barre staging, and it looks, and you can see what the voltage is and what the amperage draw is. And
So
it also tells, when something goes, when somebody derails and shorts something, you can tell which one's shorted. So,
yeah.
So what's the number with all this electrical output that's going through this entire layout? What's the number? What's the highest number of trains you've had running on this thing at one time?
well, we usually have. Normally there would be 12 road crews, which also could, do throughs and locals. You've got, let's see, you got two people working in Northumberland Yard. You got two people working, helpers out of Renovo and a yard man. Buffalo, there's 5 people working. Normally there's probably, it takes 21 people to man this railroad before I put a road crew out. And
What?
So, yeah.
Good God, Ken.
Yeah.
So you need at least at least 22 to 25 people just to hit the go button on this thing.
Yeah, before you can put a road crew out. What I did now is I've sort of closed the yard at Renovo, and I've reduced some number of trains. Like I have coal trains coming out of Clearfield. And I said, well, I'll have one symbol. It'll go to the Philly Pier. I'll have one here that goes to Baltimore. And then I decided, something, people don't even really care because it all goes to Harrisburg. So I said, they don't really care that it's going to go to Baltimore or to Philadelphia, whatever pier. So I said, I'll just eliminate one of these. So I actually cut back on the number of trains. So we normally run about 35 to 40 trains per session. That includes locals. We have 2 helper crews. So, pushing up over Keating Summit.
I love helper operations.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right up in your
gig.
Wheelhouse.
That's my gig.
Wheelhouse.
So,
I love that.
And when I built my Keating grade, it starts, it comes out of Renovo, it goes to about a 2%, then it goes to 2.3. You get up to the very where it does a big bend up by Wrights. It actually flattens out to about 1%. It gets through Wrights, then it goes to 2%, then it goes to short stretch to 3% at the top, and then it flattens out.
Oh my gosh.
And I tell people, they'll get the train rolling and all of a sudden you'll hit the flat spot and it'll pick up speed. And I said, no, let it do it. I said, why? Because you're picking up speed because you're about to run into some 3%.
You're going to need it for the next part.
Yeah. And so right, let's see. This shot here, what you're looking at is Buffalo is over on the top right. You've got the GM Tonawanda engine plant. I used to have blast furnaces there, and I decided donated the blast furnaces to the Union Club in New Jersey. So I scratch built 2 full-size blast furnaces, but they're not there anymore. The traffic's still there, but the furnaces are gone. So the upper on the right is Buffalo. The lower, that's between between Likens Valley. You go around the end of the peninsula, you go into Sunbury and to Northumberland. On the left side, you're looking at the tracks coming out of Northumberland, and on the very outside edge is the Reading. That's actually West Milton, where the Catawissa and the Shamokin branches join. And then to the left, it goes around and goes to Williamsport. On the top, you're looking at Hinsdale Yard and Olean, New York. Also, the EL there's the track sort of in the inside there. That's where the Erie-Lackawanna main line crossed. So
right
Olean,
here on this bridge.
no, that's a highway bridge.
Oh, that's a highway bridge.
Yeah. It's hard to see, but there's the main line up area. That's Olean, New York. So that's Olean tile there. And some industries up there. And that's where the Erie-Lackawanna cross the Pensy main line.
Oh, okay. Like
and
here.
my EL just goes off the edge of the bench work, and nothing has ever crossed on the diamond. But I do have a portion of it. In the modern era, in the older era, I had the EL come into Hinsdale to make an interchange with the pen. In the modern era, it's actually Conrail's territory to go up, to continue to go west to Buffalo. So they're going to put me in a home.
No, we won't let them. We won't let them.
Okay. Here, the lower level, that's Northumberland Yard. And see the card boxes there. That's all the card boxes for all the class tracks. The upper level, that's Olean, New York. And it basically goes to single track, runs along the back wall. It goes through Portville, New York. And then in the other corner is where you go from New York to Pennsylvania. In order to get back to where you'll notice there's a way there to crawl underneath the layout. The operator and the East End guy actually crawl there just once, and they sit in the pit back there, and they operate basically the whole East End of the yard. The West End of the yard is where the classification is done. That you're looking at the card boxes. He basically stands in the aisle right there, and he classifies the cars as they came in off the trains. All the people have said, why is there catenary in the Buffalo line? I said, well, I grew up with catenary. I liked electrics. And I found somebody who was 3D. Those are 3D printed cat poles. And so there's no wire over the railroad. But they're painted and they got insulators on areas. But that's my little piece of the what I grew up with. How's that? So.
That's cool. Your little nostalgia piece there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, when I had the Pensier, I ran GG1s. I had P5s running. Rapido's doing E44s, so I'm going to probably end up with a couple of them. Yeah. So, and the idea is that, they bring, in my world, Conrail had wire run to Altoona. And they also did the Bald Eagle, because one of the power plants that would supply this actually was the Strawberry Ridge Power Plant, which was off the Buffalo line. So, I had to try to come up with a corporate reason why there is 132,000 volt lines on top that come out of the power plant. So that's, so the Buffalo line made sense in my world.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So okay. Couple of questions coming in here. Let's see. So mainline modeler, this is DCC. We just talked about the power districts too. So you might want to check into that one. That was just a couple minutes ago. The Closet branch has a good question here. How often do you run trains by yourself?
When I test stuff, I'll try out. I've been sort of fooling around. I've been watching videos now. You go up on the train videos. I've watched stuff around Horseshoe Curve that had the DPUs on them. And I said, I'm going to try something. So we don't normally run a 70 car ore train. It's 70 the Stuart Jennies. So I've been fooling around with saying, if I put 4 6-axles on the front, let me see how many ore jennies they can take up by themselves. And I said, that's about where, and I think it came out to about 55. I said, all right, well, that's where the DPUs would be. So if I put 2 DPUs in there, which is usually 2 more big 6-axles, how many can they pull? And they could take the other 25, so the idea is I could build like a 75 or an 80 or a 90 car ore train that wouldn't need helpers. But it have 6 6-axles on it to get over the mountain. So
I can do that, Mike. I can run 70 car ore trains.
Yeah.
Ken said so.
Yeah, Ken said so. Yep.
That's the Northumberland engine terminal. And when I first built it, it had a roundhouse and a turntable, and I decided to modernize it. I blew up the roundhouse, I blew up the turntable, and put a diesel shop in.
Andy, you might want to start contacting everybody that bought one of your Mascoutin Valley engines and buy them back from them because you might need them.
Yeah, right.
So,
So there was a question about your paint schemes here, and I think this is a really good shot that kind of illustrates that. So you have, I spy with my little eye, at least 3 different paint schemes here for your fantasy road.
yes. Yeah. The first scheme was Conrail blue and UP yellow on the noses.
Oh.
And I did a number. You'll see a bunch of them there. There's actually one big string of them is actually the Atlas C420s. They did for the Long Island Railroad. And the nice thing about that is evident Yankee Dabbler's not too far from me.
Oh, that's
and
dangerous.
They had a bunch of them. And they said, well, we couldn't find too many people that modeled the Long Island Railroad that wanted to buy C420s. And they're nice. I mean, they got the deflectors on them for the horns. They got high-ad trucks on them.
Yeah.
And I looked and I said, wait a minute. If I just repaint the cab and take off the Long Island, lettering, and I already had decals made for the Northern Central, so I did a whole bunch of those, for local service. They don't have dynamic brakes, so I wouldn't want them in road service.
Yeah.
But then I decided, I said, well, let me try some dark green locomotive enamel, the Pensy. So the dark, so that's, and the yellow is always UP yellow. I'd happen to like that yellow. So basically you've got, there are a couple original green ones that actually, I always liked the Wisconsin Central.
Sure.
And I said, okay, what if I painted a locomotive, instead of it being at red, I'll paint it green, but I'll use the Wisconsin Central stripe down the side and the nose stripes, and put my Northern Central on it. And so I actually used some of the microscale Wisconsin Central decal part of them to do some of these. But the vast majority of them are just dark green locomotive enamel, usually a yellow nose or scare stripes, a yellow sill stripe. The lettering scheme I stole from the later V&O Allegheny Midland. And mine's called the Allegheny lines versus the Appalachian lines. And the road numbers are actually on the side of the car body, and underneath the cab it just says either Northern Central, Lehigh and Mahanoy, Cumberland Valley, whatever. And the Cumberland Valley has CV on the sides. The Lehigh Valley has L&M on the side, and the Northern Central has NC on the sides. So, and then I also have lease units. And, and that's what the people say. Why is there Union Pacific locomotives on the railroad? And because the UP only bought 10 C630s, they didn't like them. So in the real world, they sold them to DM and IR. And I said, all right. Well, I have a steel company too. I'm going to buy some of them. They're not going to get all 10 of them. So I got 4 of them. So, but they're KJMX, which is my leasing company, which is my initials.
Yep. I was going to say, I figured. I
need a hobby.
You do. You really do. That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. This is just, it's so massive.
That's Sunbury on the lower level. And on the upper level, that's actually part of Buffalo. And then actually further over is actually Larrabee, Pennsylvania. So at one time where that big gray building was along the wall there, actually the concrete colored, that's where the original electric furnace was for the steel plant. I had that, and it was almost a 40-inch long building. I built some really big buildings for the steel plant.
Dang.
And they're on other railroads now.
So here's a question from Greg Turhar asking, how many hours a day do you work on the railroad?
Some none. Sometimes probably 5 or 6. Like the railroad's been sitting for a while, so I've been, we had some open houses.
Mm-hmm.
And so the nice thing is the main lines got cleaned for that. But I realized there were a couple of industrial sidings that probably haven't seen a car in a year. So I take up track cleaning trains, and I basically, okay, let me run these on all the branch lines and all the industrial sidings. So, yeah, that's okay. That is, you got so on the upper level, you got Olean, New York, and going from right to left is going towards Buffalo. Next one down is basically that's the track in the front is the Reading Shamokin branch. And behind it is actually Williams or Northumberland Yard. And then looking straight ahead, you'll see another level underneath. That's actually the branch that goes to Wilkes-Barre. And I put lighting in there, which means you got to put buildings in, which means you got to put scenery in. So, and it's basically a single track branch, has one passing siding, and goes to an 8-track staging yard. It's a way we get to, basically it's actually the way in the modern era. It's the way the Conrail can actually get to Binghamton to go west to Buffalo. So, and then the very bottom level is actually off-stage storage. I built that later. I decided I needed to have a place. I didn't have enough staging tracks. And so I looked at an area. I said, well, if I put a turnout here in the Wilkes-Barre branch and I put a helix over here that wound down a little bit, I could, and basically it's all built out of 1/2-inch ply, 1/4-inch ply, and 1/2-inch ply for the basic structure, 1/4-inch ply for the top, and then 1-inch foam on the top. And then what I did was I built it and then laid all the track downstairs, except where it joined to the next one. And I just used, I bought the World Supply of 9-inch Code 100 Atlas Snap Track, the 9-inch pieces. And that way, when I put them together, that's why I slid them together, soldered them up. And there's actually, there's 9 tracks right there. And I can store 9 trains there. And 2 of the tracks actually continue on behind Northumberland Yard, and there's 6 more tracks over there. So I added it. That's when I added another 15 staging tracks, which is basically another 15 trains. I have there's an OCS down there. I have Conrail trains built when I run. A lot of my Conrail trains just run through the railroad. They don't actually do any work, but they have car cards for them. So what I decided, okay, I'll start off with an ENBU, an Old Buffalo, and that'll run to Buffalo, which is basically on the Wilkes-Barre branch, goes up to Binghamton, makes a left-hand turn, goes to Buffalo. Then the next time it comes out, it's a BUEN, and it comes back down here. Then what I do is I take that train and I run it down to this staging track, and it goes off the railroad. And I bring one that's down here and bring it up and put it in its place. So if you run the next time ENBU, it's not the same, or the BUEN issue, it's not the same one that was out here. So basically it's shocked or quick up here. Mike,
we got a lot of good comments tonight in the chat.
Okay.
So,
but no, it's funny. Mike Rose said it once. He said, where I said we're doing staging wrong, and not really we're doing it wrong, but the idea is, you build a railroad that goes from A to Z. Okay.
Yep.
It starts in A and it goes to Z. Well, then what it does, you have 2 choices. It either just swaps ends and comes back from Z to A, or you got to break it up and reclassify it and put new blocks, and that's a bunch of work.
That is work.
And I said, okay, well, here's there goes those 3 piggyback cars again. Well, there they go the other way. And then so I said, all right, I need to have some place where I can hide this train. And they said, well, I'll just put it in a box. Well, when I put trains in boxes, you realize you haven't looked in boxes for 5 years. I said, and it's like, and I said, well, if I put the thing out on the railroad where I can see it, I can easily. So what I do is, before I put it down there, I swap ends. So I back it down so it's ready to come out. and then you run it up on the Wilkes-Barre branch, and I take it wherever it needs to run. It's so I have trains that are on the railroad, but they're not taking up active staging tracks, and they disappear for a while. And I have a ballast train down there. I have a Conrail OCS in my era. It's a blue 4022 and the 3 cars right now.
Yeah.
And but it's, okay, I have a auto parts train. Okay, well, it's only going to show up every so often. So that's what you're looking at
Your
there.
OCS right there.
Yeah.
Which if I'm right, OCS is the acronym for Office Car Special, correct?
That it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I can be taught, Mike. I can be taught.
Well,
limited capacity.
all right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
that's really cool.
Look at that. Look at all the signage you have on your fascia.
yeah. Well, it's like the big white sign there basically shows you the interlocking. It shows you what the signal numbers are, what the turnout numbers are. What's going to your left, what's going to your right, and that's and then the Mill Street is that's the road crossing. There happens to be that's the name of it. It's like Mill Street interlocking. So.
So there was a question a little earlier on here. Oh, this is cool. Before we get that, maybe before I ask the question, is this another short line here?
Well, the steel mill has its own railroad, South Buffalo Railroad. So this is the South Buffalo Railroad. That's their shop building. So there's a whole bunch of, on the other side, there's a whole bunch of yellow and black S2s and S4s, a couple SWs, and then you have mill switchers, which is the one in orange. They work in the mill. So. And then the main line is the big bridge there is actually the main line heading up towards Keating Summit.
So this is which way Keating Summit is coming towards us?
No, Keating Summit is going away from you there.
Going away from me. Okay.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Another picture. So this is another side of this is the back side now of that.
Yeah, that's the silo side.
The grain elevator.
That's elevator A.
This is my reference point, so I don't get lost. And you don't need to. I don't need to send up a signal flare.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's basically 2 yards. There's one on the other side is where you shove the empties or the loads in to be unloaded to dump on the ship. There's room there for 2 30-car grain trains, one on this side and one on the other side. And then there's also a small yard where I have a whole bunch of mostly BCK 40-footers for flour service. The LV there's a whole bunch of 40-footers were in flour service. So what I do is I have a bunch of flour businesses on the railroad. So that's the idea is the crew goes, okay, I need 4 for this plant. I need 3 for this. They're looking for empties.
Yeah.
So you just grab them. And they always come back empty to Babcock Street. And then, but then the next move on the car card tells them they're going to, they're going someplace, somebody make tasty cake, making tasty cakes or bread or whatever.
Right.
And then they come back here empty and then, so they can go to any one of, basically it says, okay, this place needs 4 cars. You just pull 4 cars. Here's your empties. So.
Yeah. So Humanity Junction, Heath. Yeah, this is Ken McCorry in Pennsylvania.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and he's asking, are you still hosting operating sessions?
I hosted 1 this year so far, but I intend to host 4 next year. So yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, things got in the way this year, so I had a storm went through here and took out a bunch of electronics, some on the railroad and some not on the railroad. That
was the bad luck that kind of that prevented us from having you on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I sort of felt like somebody was against me. Yeah. It's just like, what's going to happen next? So
don't you dare go on that show.
So okay, let's see here. Lower level. Actually, lower level. You look, you can sort of see the edge of it. That's the Wilkes-Barre staging. There's 7 tracks down there, and so that's the end of the Wilkes-Barre branch. The next one up, that's Lock Haven, is sort of to the left here, and that's the Hammermill paper plant there in Lock Haven. And then on the upper level, that's Falls Creek. Basically Renovo would, on that line, Renovo would be to your left, and Brookville, which is where the staging is, would be to the right.
Yep.
And underneath Falls Creek is basically the main lines. I have a branch to Rochester that originally was the west end of the railroad, or north end. When I put the addition in, it became Delavan, New York, which was at that time the end of the railroad. Now I have Buffalo, and so the Delavan has a siding. We also have a couple tracks. We have a Canadian National train that comes in from Canada into Buffalo. We have a train from Frontier that comes in. There's a couple up there for the Frontier tracks. There's one that goes to Rochester. It's basically used as a staging, and 2 tracks are used as a main line through there. So still, it's just a reuse of an existing area that was already built over top of, and I wasn't going to get back in there and redo it. So,
Fair enough. Oh, auto
Look at that.
train.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's Heiner, Pennsylvania. Most cases, when you're walking on the southern end of the railroad, the aisle is the Susquehanna River, and Heiner is Heiner State Park. So it's pretty much the river, the railroad. I think there is a highway through there, but that's it, and trees. And then you see further up on top of the hill, that's the line that's going up to Falls Creek and to Brookville.
Oh,
That
look at
comes out of
that.
Renovo.
Okay.
And that also gets helpers too. And then it goes across the big bridge there that dumps you into Falls Creek.
Oh, okay. I'm getting it now. I think I got my bearings. I might be able to figure this out at the end of the show here.
Okay. So yeah, you got there. You got on the right, on the lower, you have Enola staging, but the light's down there. And then you've got the line headed towards Renovo at Heiner. And then above that, you can sort of see the branch line that's climbing its way to Falls Creek. And then over on the left, on the very bottom, you got the Wilkes-Barre branch. Above that, you've got the west end of Williamsport. And above that, you've got the line heading towards Lake interlocking. Machias is way down there at the corner. And that's basically the last interlocking you see until you really get into the Buffalo area. And then the hillside there on the left, far left, that's behind that is where the Brookville staging is.
Oh, that's behind this hill.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
Yep. Uh-huh. Here's your leasers.
Yeah, there's the leasers. There's the blue and yellow version with, KJMX. They do have a keystone on them, which says Northern Central Railway.
Oh, that's cool.
But Atlas U33Cs.
Boy, do those things pull.
Oh yeah, they run forever.
Yeah, I have one that I'm doing in Mascoutin Valley. That thing's a brute.
So yeah, it's funny. I mean, I determined, when I always liked Alcos.
Yeah.
And I looked, and like the UP, they bought 10 C630s. They didn't like them, so we ended up with a couple in the lease fleet. Illinois Central Gulf, they bought 3 636s, and
really?
They were outliers. So I ended up with one of them. It's KJMX. So I also found the Alco demos. They did 3 demo 636s. Well, I think Mordson Knudsen bought them, and then they sold them to somebody else. Well, in my world, Mordson Knudsen never got them. We bought them. So I think there's a shot here in Buffalo. of the 3 636s, or at least 2 of them in the Alco demos, but it says KJMX on it. And all the 6 axles are all in the 5600 series. The 4 axles are in the 5400 series. So,
Wow.
and it allows me to, oh, that's neat. I have a buddy, Jerry Wickstrom, who does a lot of DCC work. He ended up with a pair somehow of the Athearn U50Ds, the ones that have the 4 trucks underneath them.
Oh,
I have been. They're KJMX leasers and coal service out of Clearfield. A pair of them. He says nobody's actually seen them yet because they came here since we haven't run. But the first guy to get that train is going to go, what the hell are these doing here? And it's
are they still in UP paint?
Oh, full UP paint, but all the UP markets have been reduced. They have my numbers on them and KJMX on the nose and the sides.
Now, are those? Did you have the ones with the little round nose on them, or did you get the ones where they squared off the nose?
I think they're the square ones. I think.
Yeah,
they're the D's. They're the ones that have the
D's.
Have the 4 B axle trucks underneath them.
Yeah.
Versus the 6 axle versus the U30. They're U50Ds versus the U50Cs. So I mean, I actually have. I have 2 UP630s, 2 U50Ds, and I also came up with a couple GP9s that are KJMX, and they're all. I could actually have it looks like the Union Pacific, but it's all stuff they got rid of. So we bought it and rebuilt it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the Needham prep plant on the top. And the idea is that we bring the mine is played out. So we bring loaded coal into this and then they process it and load trains going out.
That's a good idea for operations.
And if you look at the far right, you can see the little tower there, the flood loader.
Yep.
That's what goes to that flood loader.
Oh, damn it. Sorry.
That's right. So that's where the coal goes. Theoretically, it just the aisle's in the way, so it doesn't exist. On the lower level, that's Rockville, and so the 2 tracks you see 2 tracks that sort of disappear behind the trees. They go into the helix that goes down to Enola, and then the other tracks up there you see the signal bridge on the right hand side. Those are the ones that go to Harrisburg staging. That's basically the east end of the railroad. And then you see the card boxes there are for I guess that's the ones for Harrisburg. Yeah, it's Harrisburg.
Wow.
Oh.
That shot makes the cars look almost like they're N scale.
Yeah.
I know, doesn't it?
Am I wrong in that? Am I wrong in that? Or my eyes
it looks
deceiving
small.
me?
No, that's
the mass, just the absolute sheer
that's sort of
scope of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the east end of Mineral Spring Yard in Buffalo, which is my major yard. The Ebenezer Yard was the Pensy Yard, and but I use it as Mineral Springs is also a real yard, but that's where we do our classification in Buffalo.
Wow, can you imagine?
And you can see actually on the back wall there, up on the wall, that's Keating Summit. Right there, that's 75 inches off the floor.
Right here.
Yeah.
This tower.
Yeah, that's the top of the grade.
That's your future destination right there, Andy.
That's it.
And then it comes down there, loops around the room, and then if you see it right above the this one string of cars there, you see that there's 2 tracks right going in front of the building. That's actually the main line coming off of Keating Summit. So that train goes over Keating, loops around the other room, and comes right down here.
Here.
No,
Wow.
up a little bit.
Up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more up. Up. See the 2 tracks up on the. There's like 2 tracks up there on top of the. No. Right there. Right there.
This
See
one. This one.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I got it.
That takes you to Keating Summit.
Ah.
I actually go through one scene twice in order to get from that portion of the main line to the yard below it, you have to run around the whole barn. And it's another 300. It's another 200 or 300 feet from that point to before you get into Buffalo.
What?
So
That's awesome.
Holy man.
Look at that yard.
all right, okay, that's the west end of Mineral Springs. Those are the rolling mills up on the wall there.
Yep.
The track going off there with the bridge, that's the line that goes to elevator A on the very left there. You see that little track coming off? It goes like across
This
the
one.
aisle. Yeah,
Yeah.
This one.
that goes to that's how you get to elevator A. That was added, when I built that, I said, well, I had to have a way to get there, so I built that and used a bunch of Walters bridges, and that's the connection.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the main. You got the far east end of Mineral Springs down below. You got the loop there is the main line coming down off of Keating Summit, going from right to left. That's basically the rolling mills and the scrap prep area for the steel plant. When I first built the steel plant, when the blast furnaces, the electric furnace, and the BOF were down at the other end, the steel plant was 300 square feet. It was 100 feet long and 3 feet wide. And so this is where all the the hot metal was at the other end, and this is where all the rolling mills went. So there's about 8 or 9 tracks in there, that bring cars out. People say, well, how do you get to those? And I says, well, what I did was I discovered, believe it or not, that Bachmann locomotives, I know, the wheels never get dirty.
No.
Okay? No, they don't.
They could run in sand.
They literally could. So I bought some Bachmann S2s and S4s, and I cut the knuckle off the front coupler, and I called them movable bumpers. I assigned. I think they're like 920 to 925. There's 5 of them back there. So you shove the cars underneath the mainline bridge there, and you shove the empties in between the session. I pull them out. I put loads in them. I put them back in there. If for some reason, you go to couple up and it won't couple, how do I get to these? I said, oh, what track's it on? It's on this track here. I said, okay, dial up 921. Yeah. Put it in forward. All right. Turn the headlight on and turn the throttle up. And the engine pushes the cars out to you. And that way you can get the stuff. And then when it's done,
that is so smart.
And then when you're done, you just put it in reverse, and you can look down underneath Buffalo. You can watch the headlight go in the distance, and then you stop and you just turn the headlight off. But then so each track has a movable bumper, and it's an S2 or an S4 built by Bachmann. I didn't care what road name. I just stuck a number on the side, painted out the other road, and they call movable bumpers.
So Dave Winther's got a question here. Are most of your turnout throws manual?
The ones right here are manual. There's anything that's too far for me to reach. It usually has a tortoise.
Sure.
A tortoise on it. You can see most of these you can just reach in and throw them.
The caboose
throws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The world supply of caboose. I have been trying for years to get caboose to do a modern hand throw. The ones with the big loop.
Yeah.
And they always every year I go to the Springfield show, Amherst show at Springfield, and they're always sitting there and they're making these things. Says, when are you going to come out with a modern one? Oh, we're working on it. Right. Well, it's been like 6 years. And I said the modern guys need these. They need to have hand throws that look like modern hand throws.
Yeah.
And these are the typical. These are the sprung ones. So you plop them in place, and they throw Pico turnouts, which snap over anyway.
Right. Yep. Those are pretty good for operations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. That's actually, there's a couple of the movable bumpers that I had pulled out to make sure I clean wheels. So that's what they are.
921.
Yeah, it's a movable bumper.
Jeez, we still got like 10 more slides to go through.
Well, you wanted a lot of pictures.
No, you did great. Well, it wouldn't take much in this layout, that's for sure. Oh my gosh.
Oops.
Mike, are you still
Yes.
with us?
I'm barely with us. This
Okay.
is so much to take in.
Yeah.
Like this is a lot. Like it's a lot.
Are there
Yeah.
are there any access hatches?
What to get to,
Like
Yeah,
in the
there's-
scenery
well, that-
pop out a mountain?
yeah, actually up there, that one shot of where the rolling mills are in Buffalo, there's a building there called, there's one, it's called the Drop. And what they, it's on a hatch. So you just get underneath, it's on a piece of foam. You push the foam up and you can get the things. So
Look at these beauties.
yeah, there's the Lehan Mahanois right there. There's 3 U-25Cs.
That looks good. I
And
like
there's-
that paint scheme.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a pen. It was a Penske engine that I bought, and I just depensified it. It's the original factory paint. I just put stripes on it, and I used PDA decals. Bill Berlinger up in Canada did the decal.
Yep.
I did the artwork, but he does the decals for me. Great guy to work with.
Yeah, I like Bill. So there's a couple of questions. So here's one from John Parker. In hindsight, what would Ken have done differently?
I would have built a railroad that required less people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the square footage, but just there's probably places where I wouldn't have put industries in. Maybe just had open ground, open scenery with just roll through the, I mean, I have industries for over top of industries. That's actually Buffalo up there. The top,
Wow.
that's Keating. There's Keating Summit up top. That's the summit's actually a little bit to the left, but that's about the, and it basically drops down to the 2%. And then it actually is a section of 3%, and it goes to 1%. And then below it, that's Buffalo. The big, you see, there's like a big, huge blue building back there. That's the Ford stamping plant in Buffalo. And the world supply of 86-foot 4-door cars lives there. As you can see, and it's Ford yard, so a train will drop us off and have a crew. The building can actually hold 10 86-foot auto parts cars.
This is the first layout I think that I've seen where an 86-foot
looks small.
Right. Correct.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak for you.
And it's not like look how many.
Yeah.
It's not like there's just like a onesie, twosie.
Yeah,
here's a string of 4.
And I spaced the doors, so they fit perfectly for the Ford. The Ford had 4-door cars. A good friend of mine, Bob Davis, worked for Conrail. He was one of the automotive guys. He assigned cars, and he said, "Oh, here's a list of the cars assigned to Ford Buffalo. Here's the railroads that had them."
Oh, cool.
And I mean, I actually have. You can't see it here, but I actually have 1 or 2. Reading and Northern 86-footers.
Wow.
So
I didn't know they had any.
They don't. I do.
Because there's a short line called the Reading and Northern, isn't there?
Huh?
No,
No. I use what they have, but I also have. I have paper cars. I have a lot of hoppers. For hauling anthracite. But that's downtown Buffalo there in the back.
Boat.
The line coming with a
Hewlett
3 Hewletts and an ore boat. That's the ore yard. And
I'm taking notes.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Don't you worry about what I'm doing over here. I'm getting all sorts of good ideas.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you will. Or are. I'm sure you are.
My wife's greenhouse might be in peril in the backyard.
Oh, no.
Okay,
Oh,
this is
no.
looking. There's a steam plant there. The big building to the right's a steam plant. Those are the rolling mills and such in there. The main line goes through the middle. The building there on the right, on the left, that's actually a sintering plant that actually was built by Dean Freytag. That came off of his railroad. I was good friends with Dean, and I ended up with that after Vince Altieri, I guess his name was, had it, and then he decided that I needed to have something. So that actually came off of. I left it. It still has the Davy Steel name on it, but
I was going to say that's Davy Steel, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, and then that's the ore yard down below. There's enough. Down below, that's where the empties come in and the loads come out. So the ore trains come out of here to wherever. So there is the engine terminal in Buffalo. Whoop.
Yes, here we go.
Yeah, there's the engine terminal in Buffalo with the world supply of engines. Basically, a couple big industries down below. You got the main line. Let's see, that is I think it's Herndon. So just a couple industries along the way. If I shot another shot down the aisle, this is the one place where there's actually 5 levels. There's the top of the engine house, the big brick building there. That is Ole Valley Rail Cars. That was named after T.J. Weber, who good son of Dave Weber. And he passed away. He was 21, but he started to 3D print things. And we're really sorry to lose him. He was a great operator. So that was his company. So I named that. That's a car shop. What I do, just for, people say, well, how do you keep things clean? The idea is Northumberland, when he gets a bunch of cars, I tell him, pick 30 cars at a random, put them in a train, send them to Buffalo, and they go to the car shop. Then what I do between sessions, I pull them out, I clean the wheels, glue all the parts that fell off back on, mark on the back of the car card the car's been shopped. The next session, that train's made up, it goes back to Northumberland and goes back into the flow again.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. I mean, what you do is you just put a shop track somewhere on your railroad and then just tell somebody, okay, pick, if you can hold 5 cars, 10, whatever, then ship them there. And then you just fix it. You go over the cars, you fix them, you blow the dust off or whatever you need to do. Mark that they've been shopped, and they go back in, and that way you sort of you don't have to worry about. I got to clean 500 wheels tonight.
So you almost you make up a hospital train just to get off. Kind of thing. You take it to the shop and.
Yep.
That's fantastic. It's a good way to make it sure you get your fleet cleaned.
Really. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The Tupper. That's the track going up to Keating.
Keating.
That's up to Keating. Where the refinery is. I was in the oil business, so I had to build a refinery there. That's the line that goes to Erie. So that's St. Mary's. There, and then down below, that's the back end of the big brick buildings, the back end of Ole Rail Car, and then those are the diesel shop buildings, and then that other brick building here is actually where I have a place where you put wheel truing in. So every so often I'll stick a locomotive in there and I'll just shop it and send it back out after we get the wheels cut. So theoretically.
That's a neat little thing to add into the operation to pull an engine out of service.
Yeah. Yeah. Or somebody says, this thing's, stuttering. I said, all right. I said, just here, put it over in the wheel shop. Yeah. And whatever's there, I usually, pop the shell off, lubricate everything, clean the wheels. There's the Buffalo, there's the engine terminal. So.
Jeez. More engines.
Yeah, there you go. There's
there's the demos. There's those demo units you're talking about.
Yeah, believe it or not, I have 4 of them. They only had 3, but I have 4. I was actually looking at the C415s that Bowser just did, and they did the demo, and I said, but it's funny, they seem to have disappeared. You can't find them anywhere. But
those new ones that just came out.
Yeah, the new ones. I mean, I guess most of them were pre-sold. So
yeah, there was a frenzy.
Yeah, But so what you got there, the CV one right there, that's a C425. That's the Cumberland Valley unit. The NCs are the Northern Central. The blue one, the blue GE back there, that's just the leaser. You know, that could be leased out. If I decide to put it in a Conrail train, it could be in a Conrail train. We just lease from the power. Because this is early Conrail. This area is 76 to 82. So
a lot of Elko.
Wow.
Jeep 35 there, it looks like.
mm-hmm.
And that's right during that period where a lot of railroads were just starting to get into standardization, and you know, a lot of the Alcos and GEs started to go away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's wow.
Let's see. Where the hell is this? Yeah, I know where this is. Oh, this is okay. This is
hell is this?
Where the hell is this?
Yeah. This is bad. I built it. I don't know where it is. No, the lower level is Brookville. That's a branch that came off of the Bold Eagle branch that ran from Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, down to Tyrone on the main line. And Warner, a lot of limestone came out of there. And I also decided to put a grain facility in there. So there's power sitting there for that grain facility. And that'll there's a switcher back there, an SW that'll pull the train out. And there's an Illinois Central Gulf C636, which is now a leaser. Right.
I love that. ICG.
There's two of my leasers.
I like that.
Doesn't
that
look cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, little color.
And somebody asked me, said, well, you got four of the, I said, no. I says, one of the Illinois Central Gulf was so bad. I says, we cleaned it, and we kept the white, but we painted everything else. We painted the gray and the black, so we just turned it into a demo. So.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the Buffalo line in front, and then in the back you'll see there's a big bridge back there. That's actually part of Rockville Bridge. That's in my world, that's actually on the Bold Eagle branch. And to the left, there's actually a 3-turn helix that takes you down to where Brookville is. This is where this is. This is actually underneath Buffalo. It's actually about 8 feet away. If you need to get to it, you'd actually crawl underneath underneath Brookville, and you can pop up in there where the river is.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah. I never have any problems back there. The helix has like 40, I think it's a 48, a 46, and a 44-inch radius. So I never have any problems back there.
So that was a question that was early on in the night. What is the minimum radius on your layout?
On the main line, it's 36.
Okay.
The biggest I have, we had areas where you come out of a curve. Well, it's going to be a tangent that goes to the next curve. In front of mine, we made up like an S bend on an 8-foot long piece of plywood as a template.
Yeah.
It's a 208 and a 210 inch radius S curve.
Oof.
So you just put it between two other curves.
Time out.
Yeah. It's 8 foot long.
208.
208 and 210. And that way you look at it, and it comes out of a 36 or a 40. Most of the curves are 40s, 42s, and 44s. 36 really is most of the industrial areas. So.
Wow. So you never have any issues with string lines or anything like that?
No. My test was always to put two 86-foot boxcars and put a 24-foot origin between them.
Oh. And
push it around and see how, that's, the Origeni is basically a 24-foot block.
Yep.
And the 86-footers will just try and push it the hell off the track. So that,
Right.
This is the, whoops.
Oh, okay, do you want me to go back to one?
Yeah, just go back one. That was,
stage.
Yeah. Yep. That's actually the Clearfield / Altoona staging. That was the latest. That's the Harbison Walker refractory plant I decided I put lights there. I said I need to do some scenery. So that building's built out of gator foam and a bunch of styrene and odds and ends of vents and everything else. And there's an 8-track, a 10-track stub, and then Altoona has 4 tracks. Each one will take a 40-car train, and then this is actually the Clearfield portion of it. And yeah, it acts as both Altoona and Clearfield.
That's awesome. I love the concept of staging, but then having it scenic buildings.
And having it look like it's actually more than just staging.
Part of the railroad.
Yeah. The biggest issue is you put lights in this so you can see it, so older eyes can see it better.
Yeah.
And then you realize, well, it doesn't take, I use a lot of foam in those things. I get 1-inch foam, I cut it to fit, and drop it in place. And now you're not trying to lean there and, to get stuff, the tracks in place. But
yeah, I mean, you're not displacing the rest of the layout for a major construction project. So you can just at your leisure go and fill all this in.
Yeah, that's really the lowest level. Forgetting that the storage staging, that's really the lowest level on the layout. Right there is Altoona Clearfield. So
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
For those that haven't heard, go back and listen to the beginning of this or watch the very beginning of this, because you'll get this question then. So with your past history, how much longer is this going to be like this until you decide to possibly go back to prototype modeling? Or are there bigger things on the horizon for your freelance railroad?
I just turned.
I heard the stutter in his voice.
I just turned 77. Okay. I'm slowing down. I don't believe, I'll never say never. I don't believe there'll be any more era changes. Okay. And at some point, who knows when in the future, the sad thing is that at some point in time, this thing's going to have to go away. And I mean, I have a lady friend, and she knows about this. Yeah, she thinks I'm crazy, but I'm 77. I'm allowed to do that. And but it's like, what am I going to do? I said, well, the trouble is a lot of the guys that helped me build it, they're all in their 60s and 70s too.
Yeah. And
I said, I mean, some of it would be easy the bottom level would be easy to remove. The top level, it's built on just think like that. What you're looking at there, you're looking at that wall you're looking at there at the end. That was removed to allow the access to the addition that's to your right here. Okay, that's a 2x6 stud wall. In order to cantilever that benchwork there where the yard is, Buffalo Yard, what there is a 3/4-inch piece of plywood that basically is 3 inches wide. Think of it, it's basically like a big carpenter square.
Yeah.
It's 4 feet from the wall out to the edge, and it goes down 4 feet, and it's air nailed into the 2x6 stud. That's why there's no supports between the upper level and the lower level. I can actually get up on top of this thing to work, and it doesn't move.
Yeah.
So that's the old exterior wall there, correct?
Yes, it is.
That is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So in order to get rid of the bottom level, they're all built as grid works. That you could take apart. You walk. There's 3x8s. There's 4x8s. There's all kind of different, basic table sizes to start. The upper level is all tied in to the building. And it's also the buildings, like I said before, when I built the building, the architect said, well, you're going to have to put 1/2-inch plywood 10 foot from all 4 corners. as a building stiffener.
Stiffener.
Because the
Yeah.
building could rack, right?
Yep.
And I said, well, I know why. I don't want to do that, but I'll show you what I'm going to do instead. So we put the one upper level in, and they visited. And you got to figure that whole upper level went around the whole building, and it tied into all the 2x6 studs. And it basically is a building stiffener. And the building hasn't moved,
I bet.
But
I
in order
bet.
to get rid of it, it would be saws all the time. You start at this end and saw, because there's no way you're going to get those things out of the 2x6 studs. They were air nailed in with a pneumatic air hammer.
I'm good using a sawzall.
So, and it's something you have to consider. What's going to happen to all this stuff? So it's and then there's
this
that.
This is what I wanted
And
to see.
And then there's that.
And then there's this. Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. There's Ken and I have already gone round and round on some parts of this.
Yeah, the switches are wrong. Well, you have to visit, and you have to show me where they need to be. How's that?
Fine, I will. I'll come down there and I'll personally help you do that.
Okay. What this was, I went to an NMRA convention a number of years ago. There was a company called PI Engineering. They make like a desktop control stand, which they still make. Like a modern and theoretically you can use it for train simulation games. And they said, well, you could probably also use it to run a train. Well, they also made a replica of a full-size AAR control stand. And I said, oh, and they had it in this little trailer, and you basically ran a train simulator with it. So I'm sitting there running this thing, and I said, I have a question for you. I said, could you use one of these to run a model railroad? And the guy looked at me like, yeah, I guess you could. I said, oh, okay. So I took the brochure and went home, and I called him up, and I said, I want to buy one. And the other end was dead. And it was like, hello? I said, yes. Yeah. I says, okay, well, we're only going to build like 10 of these. I said, all right. And he told me how much it was. I said, okay. I'll send you the deposit. Okay. 6 months later, a tractor trailer pulls up. I had to get my pickup truck out. We had to offload it on the back because it was in a crate. And it was made, it's a replica of a standard AAR control stand. It's fiberglass, but most of the, all the internals for the throttle, the dynamic brakes, the reverser, and all that stuff. They took the original stuff and sent it to India and had India cast the parts. But it works like a real one. You can pull the reverser handle out and put it in your pocket so nobody can steal the engine if you want to. And so then a good friend of mine, Bob Bucklew, we actually got a section of track and we hooked it up and we actually moved the train with it. This is cool. I said, all right, well, I guess I got to build a cab for this thing. And I was just going to build, I was going to just build just the back half of the cab. And I said, well, I'm going to put it over in this stall. And this is the garage, by the way, underneath the train layout. That's what this is. And I was going to have behind it, I'm going to put a 6 by 12 foot screen up here. And okay. And I'll put the thing right up against it. And then Bob said, how big is that garage door at the other end, behind it? And I said, well, it's an 8 by 16. And I said, oh, crap.
It ain't going to fit.
So I said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll just spin the cab around. Well, I guess I need to build the headlight assembly and the nose now. So what I did was I actually went over to the Westchester Railroad. They had a Conrail Jeep 38 over there that Conrail had sold to Pennsylvania Power and Light to shift the Crombie power plant. And I couldn't find a scale set of plans for a standard EMD cab. So I went over there one day and I had basically measured it, came back, drew a set of plans up and built it. It's 2x4s, masonite. The nose comes off. It has wheels on it so it can leave the garage. It'll fit outside the door. I built the interior. I found a guy who worked at Silvis that would sell me some parts. So, like I already had the seats. We had come up with they're actually Conrail seats. There's Conrail in the back of them. That's the control stand. I built the heater thing so you have a place to put your feet.
Which is brilliant and absolutely essential to every locomotive engineer.
But there's the control stand, the radio. There's the little radio up here with a speaker. That works on the 5 channels we use upstairs. The radio, the speedometer's there. Right now, it's not functional, but you can actually run a train. There's a camera car on the railroad. There's a projector up on the ceiling that projects onto the screen, and so you actually see what you're running, and you can run a train on the railroad using this. It has its own sound system. It's got a 500-watt stereo with 5 little speakers up on the roof, and it uses a Locosound EMD. And the nice thing is I have 2 decoders, so you can either, I want it to sound like an Alco, so you just plug the Alco one in, or a GE, but normally it's an EMD. So you have to put a brake, you put one of the brakes on, reversers in neutral. Basically the system's on. Switch number 6 all the way at the left. You flip that sucker on, and the prime mover fires up, and then you run a train. And Bob, right now we can input grade to it. There it is. There's all them switches. So that actually came out of a CSX Jeep 40 at Silvis. That's where that came from. It's 2 of them sort of put together. But and then everything else I just made it. I put the lock handles on and stuff like that. Stuff that looked right. It has LED lighting, and it has all the electrical cabinet doors. I found a place that sold the decals. It's got the plate in the floor to get to some of the air brake equipment. There's nothing there, but so you can run a train on the layout with this. You can blow the horn. You can turn the bell on. Neat thing is
where's the horn? Go back to the last one, the other slide, Andy. The other picture. There. Yeah. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, the gray one right there. The bell's down below. So.
Yep.
It's got there's the independent and the train brake. There's the dynamic brakes will actually, when you flip them on, you can hear the dynamic brakes come on from the sound decoder. It'll only stop the train to 10 miles an hour. It won't stop it completely. Then you got to use some of the service brake to stop it. Nice thing is if you input grade to this thing, you're going up a grade. And first time that Bob Buckley said, what you do? You're going uphill now. I got 2% tied in. All right. He says, just kick the throttle back to idle. All right. And it says, don't touch any brakes. And the thing slowed to a halt and stopped and then started rolling backwards all on its own. So then and I said, all right. So then I put some brake on it. And then you started notching out and you sort of released the brakes and that's not enough. And you got to maybe you got to notch 2 or 3 before it would actually hold it. Because you can also plug in tonnage, light engines, light train, medium train, heavy train. So, and if you turn the sanders on, it actually helps with adhesion, theoretically.
Wow.
And then, you coming down here, you put dynamic brakes on, you can, if I can get the gauges working, then I need to have a real engineer tell me what the hell we need to have work.
Easy,
Mike.
Easy.
Monkey go forward, monkey go backward.
Monkey go forward, monkey go backward. Yep, that's
okay.
All you need is your amp gauge.
Yeah.
Well, if you want the air you want the air gauges too.
Yeah, we love that. I love that it's got a full set of gauges in it. I'd really love to have them work, but
that era would have been an 80-pound train line.
Really?
Today they run 90, but back in the era that would have been 80. From what I remember. So that would so 80 pounds. Yeah. Well, we could work on that.
And that's the dispatchers. You got two dispatchers, cases on the right, light goes on the left. That's basically the whole Buffalo line from Enola, Harrisburg, all the way up to, but not including the Buffalo terminal. That just gets you into Lake, which is the last thing you're going to hit before you get to Buffalo. So,
Wow.
So now we got some track plans.
oh yeah, here we go. These are right off the RMC article.
And
So-
I touched things and made it all worse.
Yep.
So you can see this is the lower level 1.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yep. Yep.
So this is where we come in.
Yeah. That's what they're showing you the helix. That's the stairs coming in, and you got the helix there going to the. This is the Enola staging at the very bottom, and you got 4 loops there, the loops, and then you've got 4 stubs on either side, and then the other piece on the lower part is actually the Wilkes-Barre branch that comes off a case over by Northumberland, and that's on the very bottom level there. And then there's a small yarded honey pot. There's one passing siding. There's some industry, some Okanawa, and over at the far right is actually Wilkes-Barre staging. So, and then on the and it's on the top was basically Altoona Clearfield.
So there's level 2 and 2A.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what was what RMC was this in again? What
This, I think it was 2000. It was A Tale of Two Buffaloes. Phil Monet wrote the article. It was Steve Mallory's, who models the same section of what I model, and mine. And Steve was a dispatcher on the real Buffalo lot. So he's an operator on mine. So, but I think it was I can't remember what it was in the past couple. I'd say it was maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
Why is it upside down? Oh, never.
Yeah,
because I screwed it up when I saved it. The
Yeah,
guy running the controls wasn't very good.
yeah. I mean, Phil did this. He did a really nice job. What I did was I started at one end of the railroad with my cell phone, and I took, I don't know, a couple hundred pictures. And he would ask, I said, here's what's here, here's what's here, here's what's here. And, it was one hell of a job to do this thing. So.
Oh, Tom Klomoski, December of 22. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. And I think that might be the last one. Wait.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
The guest says they model the PR.
No, it's not all. It's only a little chunk of it.
That's awesome. I am now a meme.
Courtesy of Tom Gazier.
Thanks, Tom. Oh, good gravy.
You got that 1,000. You have that 1,000-yard stare.
You do.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot.
Ken, this was amazing, and I got to thank you for taking the time to go through and take the pictures and work with me on the back end to get this show together.
Yeah, no problem.
This was a lot of fun. This show was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And I thank you so much for coming on. I gotta ask you. So Mike asked you, what you had going on for the future. Dave Winther asked a question, and I was saving it to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked in the chat, he said, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out in the hobby of model railroading?
What I would say, around here, November is Model Railroad month. Everything has a month. And there's an open house. It's online. If you type in, Model Railroad open house, it includes Pennsylvania, basically halfway across the state, includes some of New Jersey, includes Maryland, it includes actually a little bit in Virginia. There's over 100 layouts. I would say visit as many layouts as you can. You may already have the railroad you want to model picked, maybe even the area, but you can see how other people did it. You can ask them questions. Those who have built these things will say, yeah, do that. No, don't do that. And it's why. Well, I discovered this or I discovered that. I said, a big railroad square footage is not this one. The biggest issue with this one is people management. It's a huge crew. It's neat. It's really nice. I tell people an operating session is sort of like, I guess, like a play. And I was the author, and I had all those ideas about this is what I see this train going up and it's got the pushers on it. And this one over here is working the local and this one's doing this and that. And the first 20 minutes of an operating session, you get the hey Kennies, and then you're going, you're putting out this fire and this fire. Then
the
usually,
hey Kennies.
Oh yeah. And then usually about 30 minutes in, all of a sudden it just quiets down and it runs. And as long as there's nothing, nothing catches fire or blows up, you walk around and you watch this, and there's all these people having a good time playing with your trains. That's what we're doing. Okay. And, we're not making money. We're not, and you realize and said, okay, I wrote this play and I'm watching it happen here with all these actors and they're having a good time. And, I would say make sure you try and make the place a nice place to be.
There you go.
Lighting, have a place to sit down. If the guys are older, they want to sit down. I have a crew lounge downstairs. They can sit there on a couch. I supply sodas and water and such. A bunch of the other guys, guys in Buffalo and Northumberland, you can go there. There's like a deli that sets up, and people bring food. And I said, well, I'm not going to supply food for 32 people. I'll supply liquids and the railroad. But, the idea is you have a good time, you enjoy yourself. And you can also, what kind of cars does this guy use? Or how does he do this? Or, this is a CTC railroad with signals and remote dispatchers versus timetable and train order you got it. Let me know when you're there. You sort of find out, usually when you start, you don't know what you want. You like trains, maybe you like a railroad, but you're really not sure how deep you want to get into the pool. Yeah. And I visit some other people. I was lucky enough back in the 70s to meet Charlie Carangi. And that's where I discovered about multi-decks, but also about operations. He had car cards. It was no DCC. He actually had steppers, which were giant rotary switches that Bell Atlantic used to use.
Yeah.
And you basically, you knew where you were starting on the railroad. He modeled the corridor from Washington to Wilmington in 1952 on the Pensy. And, he had Hobbytown drives and a lot of diesels that ran great. He had AHM GG1s where he gutted the motors and made them a 90-degree gearbox, and they had Holland can motors in them. And they ran unbelievably versus your AHM, which ran 212 miles an hour all the time.
Yes, sweetest sound.
But there was a crew. There's guys sitting there. Those guys back then, everybody was smoking. They had the coffee. It's coffee going. Drinking coffee, smoking, and the trains are running. And it was 1952. And you go like, this is really neat. And I saw that, and that changed my whole direction. Yeah. And before it was like, I'm going to build a railroad and I run it. I'm tired. Tear it down. I'll build another one. And, and then you build something like this and you go, I'm not tearing this down again. So, so it's as big as it's going to be. There's no more additions in my life.
That's good advice, Ken. Mike, end of the show, we got to do the awkward passing. And what did you think of this one?
Well, first, Ken, thank you very much. It was pretty much a master class in how to build an enormous railroad. Model railroad. It honestly was, because if you stop and think about it, you started this whole thing before DCC was around, and then it converted it to DCC. You've done all these changes. You made the addition. You've had to do this. You've had to, and it doesn't look like there's any like transitional flaws. There's no. It's just this is how this should be done. Now, granted, the one thing is you have a dedicated building strictly for this, and it is absolutely not something. But you could translate this into your basement empire if you wanted to, and how you could do all those things for sure. So thank you very, very much. And the biggest thank you comes from the fact that you are now an answer to all my people that I have got that keep on saying, because I've gone from the Milwaukee Road to doing Dakota Rail to doing my freelance to doing Milwaukee Road to doing something else to doing Milwaukee Road to doing this to doing now I'm
eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
But
I was going back to the Milwaukee Road though.
This is what I've been trying to tell him, Ken.
Yeah, stop, Mr. C&W. Okay.
I got my big Elcos.
Yeah, so but I mean, I was in S scale for a while. I've gotten out of that for the most part for right now. I do plan on maybe doing something with that one time down the road, but that scale is that's a different show altogether. But and now I'm enjoying doing my Farland terminal and getting into my Wisconsin Midwestern. The Milwaukee Road is going to rear its ugly head at one point. I know it will. It's okay to make these changes as long as it stays in line with what you're constantly doing. And if it doesn't, that's even okay. You know what I mean? I mean the stories you were telling earlier on about the era changes. I know everybody was laughing at how I was my expectation, but all I kept on thinking was, my God, this just validated everything I've ever been doing over the course of everything. It's okay. I feel okay. It was like a giant therapy session for me. So, but
I'm okay. You're okay. It must be right.
There you go.
Exactly. But honestly, the layout is gorgeous. I hope.
Thank you.
I hope one day to be able to come and see it in person. But the whole thing, the concept, I love the concept. Your scenery is great. I like your paint schemes are very neat.
I like the freelance schemes.
I like the freelance schemes.
It's a direct rip off of the late V&O Allegheny.
Yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Railroads rip everything off from each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, thank you very much. It's absolutely welcome. Gorgeous. I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait to see what comes up next with it and everything. And it's gonna be. It was such a fun night. Just watching. It was just like I couldn't stop staring. I was like,
I know.
That was just like, it's like every picture there was. We've always talked about when you take prototype photos to look beyond the photo.
Mm-hmm.
So like you look beyond your subject matter. Like you take a picture of a locomotive, but there might be a 1978, pickup truck on the side, and it'd be like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I just took this in 2000, and there's a 78 pickup truck over there.
Yeah,
cool. Yep. That's those kind of that's the stuff I was picking out of your layout. I was just like, I'm like, at one point, I'm like, hey, why is there CP SD40-2s over by the auto plant? Did you pick up on that, Andy?
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that when I was going through that.
There's a pair of multi-marks sitting right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. He never mentioned anything about the CP coming onto the railroad anywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, the CN comes in, and I know the CP didn't, but at one point in time in my rail fanning history, I got to ride the Rogers Pass helpers.
Oh.
And I got to go through the tunnel because the train had a problem, and down the other side, we came back. We picked up extras. We actually came back with 9 SD40-2s. And it was like, it was the best vacation I ever had. And I have it on video. And I said, okay. I says, well, I'm going to definitely have to have a couple of CP SD40s and multi-mark on this. I don't care if they never came in here or not.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rule
That's
number
awesome.
one, it's my railroad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
But thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. There's no awkwardness on this one at all. It's just nothing but
good.
gratitude for you for finally coming on the show and getting you on. This is just amazing.
If I'm gonna put Ken on the spot, I think breaking down the operations now that we've seen the layout, maybe a part 2 in the future if you're willing to come back on. This was a lot of fun for us, and I know that our audience enjoyed it immensely. Being able to connect with you and ask questions, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to have us again, I think
no problem.
is certainly in order.
Yep.
So, and I think this is here's a nice parting comment here from Todd. He's been on the show all night. Nice to see the hobby carried to a place of such a wonderful place. Another inspiring show, and it's large part. Ken, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got a little bit of admin stuff to talk about. Our next show is going to be December 27th. So 9 days away. We are going to do the annual section crew brew with the crew year-end extravaganza. So we're going to we invite the section crew to come on the show and just kind of hang out. And we all get together with a beverage of our choice and talk about trains for a couple hours. We're going to have some hobby shop giveaways and some other things going on. Just a fun night, getting to know each other in the section crew and talking about trains. So if you want to be on that show, send us an email at secondsectionpodcast@gmail.com. So I'll bring it up there on screen, or you can DM myself or Mike through Microsoft Teams. No, don't do that. That's work.
Don't do that.
Through Facebook Messenger. You can go ahead and get a hold of us if you want to come on the show and talk about what you've been doing on your layout, what you've been modeling, interests, thoughts about the show, all that good stuff. You just want to hang out and chit chat with some of the other modelers and vendors that we have on. That's all right too. So make sure you get your requests to be on the show. I think I can hold about 10 people at one time. We never get to that level anyway, but it's always, like I said, always fun. And you get to hang out with me and Mike. And that's going to be the 27th, which is a Saturday night after Christmas. And it's going to be at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Hey, should we do that thing that I just finished?
What's the thing that you just finished?
The thing that I've been working on that you know about, that I've been telling you about the last couple of days.
The new short line of the show?
Yeah. Should we?
We're not going to do that tonight.
Not tonight. I'm talking about on the 27th.
We certainly could, because Mike has done we're getting back to doing the short lines of the show.
I have a short line of the show ready
to go
for North Carolina, in the hopper. It's ready to go.
Right.
I'm actually going to start working on tomorrow the next one. So the short line of the show is coming back, folks.
Full force.
So it's let me just put it to you this way for those that have seen it. Ken, have you ever seen my short line of the show that I do? I feature a short line from each state.
Okay.
We're in North Carolina. So
doing 50 states.
Yeah, we're doing all 50 states. So yeah, it's so it was gonna be 15 slides, it's up to 62. So it's it's what? That's too many. It's too many. Well, this railroad that I picked is absolutely a modeler's paradise. Let me put it to you this way. I'm willing to bet somebody will actually turn around and say, you know what, that's gonna be my next layout on this one. I think so. I think it'll happen. So,
well, make sure to join us next time for the North Carolina discussion, and then we should for the short line of the show.
Yep.
And brew with the crew, and that's 8 p.m.
That's always fun.
It's a good time, and then we got we're lining up shows for the new year already. So going to really focus on the modeling aspect this year. And we're going to get into some scenery techniques. We're going to have a couple of masters in their own right come on the show here shortly in the new year to talk about different scenery techniques. And that's going to be the January 8th show. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then, more detailed modeling. We're going to switch the format up a little bit. So that way you guys can get to actually see us do something and take some value away and hopefully improve your skills as a modeler as well. And we'll still do the interviews and all that good stuff too. So Ken, I thank you. This was truly an amazing show. Mike?
Yes.
Thank you for the facial expressions and the new meme.
Hey guys, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
You
Ken.
have a Merry Christmas yourself.
You have a Merry Christmas as well, and a Merry Christmas to the section crew. And we will talk to you all on the 27th. Good night, everybody.
Good night.